All right, testing. I'm going live now. Think I'm live here. All right. Just gonna check to make sure the stream is up and the audio's working. Looks like it is. So just quickly tweeting this out to let folks know that I'm going live. All right. So give a few seconds just to see if anybody joins up real quick, and then just get going and end up using the recording really live streams just to get the thoughts as up there as quickly as possible. So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning where I am right now, and I unfortunately just got the news pretty much, just got woken up to the news that Michael Brooks, left-wing YouTube podcaster, political commentator, suddenly passed away. We don't know why. It's not really any of our business for the most part, but he was a really important voice on the left and a huge influence on me, and so I just wanted to come share some thoughts, and I'm still processing, and so this will be pretty raw, and this is my first time going live. I've been away for a while. For folks that are subscribed, just been ever since Bernie dropped out, and we just been through in the midst of this pandemic, and just haven't found the motivation up until now to really record a video or do any commentary, and so really this is just such a monumental moment, I think, that it was worth it was enough of a inspiration, I guess, I don't know, to get me to finally get back to it and get back out there and share some thoughts with folks. So here I am, and I just wanted to say, Michael Brooks, I don't know, I think anybody that would watch me will almost certainly know who he is. He's a host of the Michael Brooks Show, co-host of the Majority Report with Sam Seder, and just, as I said, a huge influence for me to even start this YouTube channel. Looks like we got another person in the stream. Cool. So I think that we are, you're gonna have a lot of outpouring of support coming in for him, I'm sure. And I mean, dude is a legend on the left, really, and so this is heartbreaking news. This is sudden. It's who would have expected. He's 37 years old. If you're close to his age, it just feels like like it's a very humbling moment. It just makes you realize you constantly have to take stock of this stuff. I personally have, lost people close to me in the past, really close to me, my brothers, in the past. And so I know what this kind of loss feels like, and I've processed this sort of stuff before. And so this is obviously not somebody that I knew personally, but when you watch somebody, and I mean, I watched hundreds of hours of Michael Brooks, and when you do that, you have these sort of parasocial relationships with them where you get to know them, and you feel like you know these folks. And so it feels like a personal loss, but more importantly, I think it's just a loss for the left. I think that we lost one of our brightest, best, strongest voices. He's the kind of person that when with the news of the day, I'm tackling the news of the day. What I'm trying to do is, he's one of the first people that I'm going to look to, that I'm going to go to and hear his take on a topic. He put me on to so much. I mean, he put me on to, I wouldn't know who Lula was without him. Hey, Tammy, that's my wonderful girlfriend there in the chat. Hi, Tammy. Yes, it's so shocking. Yeah, see, yep. So, Kyle Kalinske apparently did a live stream earlier about Michael. Yeah, I think a lot of people there's going to be a lot of these videos, a lot of these streams coming out. Because he's touched so many people on the left. I think he's been a huge impact for so many people. And so, yeah, he's just the kind of person that he's one of those voices that, he's a clarion voice for the left, where he believed what he believed, and he was a leader of the left on foreign policy, issues of foreign policy. I don't think that there is another voice quite like his on the left. You have others, you have the Cornel Wests and the Noam Chomskys, but as far as somebody of our generation that's out there in the spaces that we're in the social media spaces that we're in, I can't think of a more influential voice on the left than Michael Brooks. When you're in these sort of the new left online social media sort of frontier, I think that he is a crucial voice that we just lost, and I don't think that there's a quick or easy way to fill that void. I don't think that he's issues. Again, I don't think I would know who Lula was if it wasn't for Michael Brooks. I learned about my own history. He did those illicit histories. Oh, Chris Lyons, Seder and Brooks are sheepers. Okay. Oh man, that's that's for the DNC. I don't know how you can say that, man, about Seder and Brooks, man. I mean, Sam Seder, maybe Chris, but like I don't see that from Brooks, man. He's not a sheep herder for the DNC, man. He bucked them so much, man. I don't see that. I mean, condolences to his family, like you say. Condolences to everyone close to him. I definitely disagree with you there. I don't see how you can see him as a sheep herder for the DNC or for the establishment, for Democratic establishment. I mean, this dude was constantly giving us a critique of the Democratic establishment that was a coherent critique, consistent, coherent critique of the Democratic establishment and the DNC. I mean, he was a Bernie bro, and I remember, I know you're probably upset over the. Yeah, I know. So Chris Lyons is saying they push Russiagate and voter shame people for not voting for Hillary. Yo, listen, I know what you mean. Like, they definitely, he definitely, for one, Michael Brooks didn't push Russiagate. He was very cautious on Russiagate. I think that when he was on Sam Seder's show, he would definitely entertain the idea. And I think that on the left, we should entertain those sorts of ideas. We can't just completely push them away. I'm no Russiagator. I'm definitely, I mean, that was a travesty, that time wasted. And I think that Michael Brooks did good to push back on that. I think that that was really Sam Seder, that you might be conflating those two together. Like I don't rock with Sam Seder too much, but Michael Brooks was a, Jamie Peck, Michael Brooks, Matt Leck. I think that they're all, socialist, proper left wing, proper leftists. And so I disagree with you there, man. I know Sam Seder pushed Russiagate, but Michael Brooks, I didn't see that from him, at least. So I think that, Michael Brooks was critical of his, he clearly was willing to self-reflect, to grow on issues. He listened to a lot of strong left-wing voices, a lot of proper socialists and I believe I truly believe he was a socialist and really held socialist ideals and was able to relay those ideas in a way that brought people to our side. He dragged folks like Anna Kasparian to the left, and I think that's and I know if you're getting on Michael Brooks for being a DNC sheepherder, then you're definitely gonna be you're gonna be no fan of TYT, I'm sure, Chris. But I'll tell you, I think that he was an honest, strong leftist, and that he deserved he deserves this, some recognition for that. And I think that we're going to be missing the left is weaker today than it was yesterday. I believe that, but I think that we'll regroup and we'll come back stronger, of course, like we always do. But I think that we definitely lost a unique voice on the left, and there's no way TYT is equal. So Chris Lyon says that TYT is MSNBC on steroids. So nah, man, come on, man. You're not. That's not fair. That's not fair, brother. TYT is a social democratic center left. That they are what they are. We know what they are. They're center left by global standards. They're on the left, properly on the left by American standards. Sadly, not the world I want to live in, but I am an avowed socialist, and this, democracy. I believe we need democracy in all of our institutions. I believe that we have a set of basic human rights, and that capitalism, the idea of this employer-employee relationship, has no place in our society, or in any sane society. So yeah, TYT is neoliberal. So Chris Lyon says that TYT is neoliberalism for hipsters and the uninformed. So no, Chris, they are, let me say, folks like Jank, I would definitely say, he's not neoliberal. We got to have a better classification for that. He's not neoliberal. Maybe, I mean, you know what? I can't outright call they're social democrats, man. And let's just be real about when we let's identify these folks as best as we can. I hate these labels, and they're too yeah, TYT's donors. I know. Listen, I don't watch TYT like that. That's not my source of. They were for a long time, and I think that most people that come to the left, they're sort of a pathway to to socialism for a lot of folks who, when you're coming from, listen, 5 years earlier, I identified as a centrist, before this election of Trump and stuff. I'm 33 years old. I'm pretty, I thought I was pretty confident in what and I had a neoliberal ideology. And so I'm not, I know, yeah, no, Jank is, so Chris says that, He stopped watching TYT in 2016 when they morphed into CNN and MSNBC. Cenk is a capitalist. He calls himself a capitalist. Absolutely. Cenk classifies himself as a capitalist. Absolutely. He's a capitalist. He identifies as a capitalist. He's been debated by his nephew, Hassan Piker, who is a socialist. I agree. I agree with you. Most of them, I think that Anna Kasparian, she also was a proud capitalist, and only because of folks like Michael Brooks, only because of the influence of Michael Brooks, did she move over from, being a proud capitalist to actually understanding what 21st century socialism is, in that it's not this Soviet communism, but rather what socialism was, what we all agreed it was before that, which was an extension of democracy from politics into economics. And so, yeah, I definitely think that, he says that Chris Lyon says that Cenk and TYT pushed Warren to purposely hurt Bernie. I don't think that they purposely did that to hurt Bernie. I think that they sadly, did that, but I don't think that was on purpose. I think that Cenk genuinely believed that Elizabeth Warren was an honest actor. And I mean, I don't think that most, proper leftists, most socialists, we all, saw that coming from a mile away with Elizabeth Warren. And I'm from Massachusetts, let me say. So, Elizabeth Warren's my senator. And so maybe I had a little bit better, inside view, but not really, because I was just coming into politics. And no, Chris says, don't be naive. Listen, I'm not being naive. Listen, Cenk was, I think that he was wrong. He was wrong. He just genuinely believed it. I don't think that he's dishonest or anything like that. I think that he just genuinely believes that, and he's wrong. So I'm not afraid to admit that I disagree with him. Cenk's a grifter, but the last thing he is dumb. I don't think he's dumb. I just think that he's wrong. People can be very smart people. Very smart people have been very wrong about a lot of stuff. There are some really smart astrophysicists that are, right-wing conservatives. I think they're wrong about, so much about politics, but they're smart people still. You can be smart and still be wrong a lot. And so I don't think that he's a grifter. I just think that he's somebody that we need to be honest about, if we want to have a proper socialist critique of things like TYT, then we have to frame our opponents correctly. We can't sit here and misframe our opponents, because then we look dishonest if we do that, or we look like we're not putting in the right effort, in like we're taking shortcuts, and so we don't want to do that. We end up coming out looking worse on that. So let's frame our opponents correctly. And Cenk I see as an ally on so much, but then an opponent on so much more, because like you said, Chris, he doesn't he's a capitalist, and he strongly believes in that. But we also should understand why Cenk would believe something like that. Look at who he is. He's the kind of person that, has come to, his father immigrated to the country. Those are going to be from Turkey. Those are going to be people that are really specially selected out. The people that get to immigrate here, the system filters through to make sure that those people are the people that are going to be most, sympathetic to capitalism, Western imperialism, things like that. And so we have to recognize limitations there. And so, listen, Chris says that Cenk is purposely wrong a lot, that Cenk was wrong on Russiagate, Warren, Syria, chemical attack on Libya, etc. He seems to be wrong an awful lot. Yeah, listen, man, I've been wrong on so much. So can we really, did you have fully formed political views? At what age did you have fully formed political views? For me, I know that I was in my late 20s and I was still formulating a lot of this. And, here I am in my 30s and I still don't feel like my political views are fully formed, and maybe they never will be fully formed. I think that a lot of it is fluid, not too much, not most of it. You sort of get hard in a lot of your thinking, but I think that a lot of it is sort of we're growing, we're learning, and we have to be honest about that. And so, he said, Chris says that Cenk was a Republican until his 40s, like Warren. I don't think 40s, man. I think it was more like he was a Republican until like his 30s. And so, who am I to say? But I really do believe that he, and you can, I was a neoliberal self-identified centrist until I was 20, what is it? 8 years old, 28 years old, at least. I was a self-identified, I would say I was, socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. I said stupid stuff like that. And so, it's a process, and we're growing, we're learning, and we have to have some sort of understanding on the left, some path to redemption for people. And Cenk has, I think, proven a lot that he was an asset to the left in many ways, and that he at least platforms people and has provided a platform through TYT for people like Kyle Kulinski. I don't know, how do you feel about Kyle Kulinski? Is Kyle Kulinski a DNC shill to you, Chris? Because if you say Kyle Kulinski is a DNC shill, then you lost me, come on. So you said Michael Brooks. So, we probably, then we just disagree on the entire premise. So, he says, Chris says that Cenk's an obvious grifter who uses his network as a fundraising tool. Yeah, he fundraises, but he's fundraised for a lot of folks. Like he fundraised, he was part of Justice Democrats, which put folks like AOC into power. And so, I think that you gotta give him credit for that as well, right? So TYT is literally no different from MSNBC and CNN. Seriously, Chris, TYT is no different than MSNBC and CNN. You gotta have some sort of range here, Chris. You can't just lump all these things together, because then you come out looking like you don't have nuance, right? And like you lose credibility when you do that. So you can't come out. Okay, so. Prody Khan says the outpouring of love from around the world is testament to Michael's hard work and internal light that's shone brightly. Yes, let's get back to the topic at hand. Michael Brooks, thank you. Protidi Khan, thank you so much, Protidi Khan. Those, I agree 100%. The outpouring of love from around the world is testament to Michael's hard work and internal light that shone brightly. Absolutely 100%. I think that. And Chris is saying that Kyle's cool, awesome. I'm glad that we agree there. TYT pushed Russiagate even more than MSNBC. No, we disagree there. They were very nuanced in their Russiagate coverage, and I was a huge TYT fan, so I know they were very nuanced in their coverage, and we can get into this later. But let's just pull back around and get back to the topic at hand, which is Michael Brooks and the fact that he was a unique voice for us on the left, in that he had something special there that we have to now come in as, on the left, and we have to fill that void somehow, because those are huge shoes to fill. Thank you so much, everyone that's watching right now. Please do me a favor if you can. I see that we got 7 people watching right now, but only 2 people have liked. Can we, everybody, if you don't mind, just smash that like button for me. Just hit that like button, and subscribe if you don't mind as well. Hit the bell to get the notifications. The YouTube algorithm likes it, and it'll let more people see it. And I just would love to get be further out there and push these ideas, left-wing ideas, further out there, and get some more voices on the left. And with the passing of somebody like, thank you so much, 5 likes, thank you so much, everyone, thank you. TYT pushed Russiagate seriously. So Chris Lyon says that okay, so Protidi Khan says that Michael brought people together, even those who disagreed with each other on the left. 100%. This was what he was so good at. He was a true unifier. I read Bhaskar Sankara's. He's the editor of Jacobin magazine, and he wrote a book, The Socialist Manifesto, that I started reading but never finished. And Thank you so much, ProTD Khan, liked and subscribed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means so much. Thank you so much. Yes, he was a unifier. He was a true unifier, and he in Bhaskar Sankara talked about that in his tribute to him that he just wrote a few hours ago in Jacobin, I believe. And yes, that was something that was so special about Michael. He actually was bringing together these different. There was the left is divided. We got to admit. Look at me and Chris right now. You know, Chris and I probably agree on 99% of things, and we still have these disagreements and these kinks we need to work out on the left, or that are honest points of disagreement. And so but Michael, what he was so good at was bringing together these different voices and platforming so many people that I now consider myself a huge fan of, you know, their work. And so I think that, oh, wow. So ProTD Khan says that Lula tweeted about Michael, and I imagine how touched he would have been. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That I wouldn't have known who Lula was, and you know, Lula Libre. I'm so glad that he got his freedom. I wouldn't have known who Lula was. I wouldn't have known who Lula was, or his struggle, or anything about his struggle, if it weren't for Michael Brooks. Honestly, obviously, the work of Glenn Greenwald is critical, but I even know Glenn Greenwald through Michael Brooks. So I think that that would have meant so much to Michael. And I think that when he met Lula, that was between Lula and Cornel West. I think that those were his two, Noam Chomsky, of course. I think those were his three greatest influences. And I think that meeting Lula was probably the most important moment of his life, and an important moment should be for so many of us as well, because of the significance of that. Let me catch up to some of these comments. Every Justice Democrat voted for the stimulus. No, I think that you may be wrong about that. Chris Lyon says that every Justice Democrat voted for the stimulus. I think you may be wrong. I think that AOC voted against the stimulus. She spoke out. Originally, it sounded like she had voted for the stimulus, but then I believe that when it came out that she had actually said that she did not. She voted. She was a no vote. And so yeah, listen. I mean, the Justice Democrats are not perfect, in any type of movement that seeks to work completely from within the system is going to be flawed, you know, fundamentally, I believe. And so I believed in that strategy before. I'm a member of the Justice Democrats. I contribute to those causes. I will still contribute because I think that we need an inside outside strategy. I think that it can work. I just don't think that electoral politics is our should be our primary strategy, or I've lost a lot of sort of belief that of the efficacy of working is definitely solely in electoral politics. I think is just foolish. I think that how we're going to work to create a strong left is by building democratic institutions on our own within our communities. And I think that I learned a lot of that from Michael Brooks. And so let's catch up to some of these comments. Sorry. Chris Lyon says TYT and Brooks both believed in change from within the DNC. They believed about change from within the Democratic Party, not the DNC. Don't conflate those two things. You know, the DNC is one specific organization, and then the Democratic Party is a separate institution. So let's not conflate those things, Chris. So yes, they did believe about that. You could sort of, you know, their strategy, Cenk Uygur, and talks about it as like boarding the ship and taking over the ship for the Democratic Party. And I think that it's, you know, it's effective to some degree, but obviously we just saw that like a few weeks of protest after the George Floyd lynching got more things changed than you know, years of sort of work in electoral politics has done for us in recent history. And so I agree for the most part. I think that we agree, just not about how we frame Michael Brooks and TYT. So Chris Lyon says that Glenn Greenwald is awesome. I agree 100%. Glenn Greenwald is amazing. What Up America says, I'm so sad right now. So many things he would have said over his natural life to contribute grounded arguments. It's unbearable. I know it's like, that was one of my first reactions. What up, America? One of my first reactions was he was so young. He was 37 years old. And I remember thinking to myself so many times, wow, if this dude is in his 30s, imagine what he's going to contribute. Because you listen to some people right now. I watch people like Richard Wolff and Noam Chomsky who are in their 70s, 80s, 60s. And you think, wow, think of how much he could contribute over his lifetime. Think about what he had to offer. And that just that's gone. That's lost into the ether. It's irreplaceable. There's not just some other person that is going to be able to fill that void. There was nobody else that was speaking on so many issues between just the foreign policy issues on the left, having a proper vision for left-wing foreign policy, and then also these illicit histories that he did, where he did these deep dives into parts of history that I think that he uncovered and connected to real world issues and events in a way that gave us a perspective and a foresight and a way forward, honestly. And so his ideas of left-wing having a proper vision for left-wing foreign policy, I think, are unmatched by any other person on the left right now, and especially in the online spaces that I'm mostly in, and the people that I know are mostly in. So there is no voice, there is no replacement. So Proti Khan says, yes, Chris, Michael did believe in changing from within the Dems. The work is about moving people with you to the left. Exactly. That's all it's about. You just gotta, if we agree with these people on these ideas, we can't just shun them, outcast them, cast them away. We have to bring these people that would agree with us on the ideas. We have to bring them over to our side. And we don't do that by just, ad hominem attacking them, calling them all DNC shills, and just, sort of casting them aside. That's not how we're going. The left isn't, we haven't won yet. We're not the mainstream yet, Chris. So we have to, in order to become the mainstream, in order to become the popular, ideology, we have to bring people over to our way of thinking. And we're not going to do that by, either the cancel culture, attitude that, that we put out, or, because this is just some extension of like, cancel culture sort of mentality of like, oh, they're DNC shills. So therefore they supported the Democratic Party in some way. So therefore, anything that they say, I'm just going to ignore and call, consider, bad politics. No, it's not an effective strategy if we really are trying to win here on the left. And that's what I'm trying to do. Chris Line. Let me see. I'm slow. I gotta catch up to the chat. So Chris Line says, "No, you're wrong. She voted for it, and she called Pelosi Mama Bear." Yeah, I remember she called Pelosi Mama Bear. That was terrible. That's awful. This is what happens when you become a part of these. Trying to fight from within. You always people will end up getting co-opted and sort of brought over. It was Bernie's flaw as well. It was Bernie's greatest flaw, and I say that as a huge Bernie supporter. Was that he was too, he even though he was supposed to be anti-establishment, having worked in with these people for so long, he just couldn't get that Joe Biden is my friend mentality out of his head in order to properly critique him like he should have. And so I think that was his undoing ultimately. And so, yeah, I think that becoming a part of these institutions and trying to fight from within that's what part of the fundamental flaw I think of that is. But I don't think that they're 100% wrong to try, and that them being inside there and doing the work that they're doing doesn't help us outside, those grassroots movement, pushing from the outside in. Chris Lyons says that Justice Democrats are the same old Democrats. We disagree there. They're clearly not. They're not for war. They're anti-war. They're they're pro-Medicare for all. They're pro-Green New Deal. These are champions for these ideas. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, now Jamal Bowman. These are champions for these ideas, and they're strong voices for us, and so they're mainstreaming a lot of ideas that socialists would love to see mainstream. Even ideas like workplace democracy. I mean, AOC it talks about workplace democracy. Those weren't even conversations happening in the halls of Congress before that. So let's not take away all the credit that they do deserve. Credit where credit is due. For everyone that's just showed up, please do me a favor and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm. Pray to the YouTube gods there and work this algorithm and hopefully get the stream in front of more eyes. So please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and come back. So yeah, for the new folks showing up, please like, subscribe. And yeah, let me catch up to this chat here. So let's see. So all right, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. Protidi Khan says, Michael created a huge body of work in his far too short life. He wrote a book, but his videos leave a wonderful legacy behind. 100%. Agree with that. Chris Lyons says, Jenks, tick, 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 tick. For Russiagate, he pushed for 4 years. It's hilarious. He's such a propagandist and grifter. Listen, dude, we just disagree there. TYT pushed Warren even after she said she would accept big money donors. Yet Jank pushed Warren. TYT is not one entity. They have different voices on there that they let lift up, including folks like Kyle Kalinske is a part of the TYT network. So, and that's a strong left-wing voice. So, still capitalist though in many ways, social democrat. So Tammy Van says yes, but they have potential. So the point is to push them further left, like Michael's influence on Anna Kasparian from TYT. He pushed her further left. Exactly. You push these people. There are different factions of the left. We still are not. I don't know any two leftists that agree 100% on every issue, and so we have to have a way on the left of having conversations, having debate in a way that doesn't just completely otherize and outcast our seeming opponents, but likely allies on most issues. And so we can't drive wedges and demagogue within our own ranks. So we got to do better than that as leftists. So Chris Lyons says Russiagate was a DNC conspiracy theory used to censor, used to excuse Hillary's loss, not accept that the DNC needs to change and to censor both the left and right. Yeah, absolutely. And Russiagate was just meant to suck up air from all of the news outlets so that we couldn't have proper left-wing ideas being discussed. And so absolutely, Russiagate was a travesty. It was very damaging to the left. And it just gave the right a bunch of ammunition to say, oh, look at these crazy leftists. It also had a bunch of leftists, oddly enough, praising the, the law enforcement and the state apparatus. All of a sudden, in like James Comey, we suddenly had fans of the FBI on the left, which was a politics make strange bedfellows kind of moment, which is just shocking. I see we're almost up to 10 concurrent viewers. Pretty cool. If you're just showing up, please do me a favor, just like and subscribe, hit that like button, for the sake of the YouTube algorithm. Appreciate it, folks. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here. So Chris Lyons it seems to be sarcastically saying yeah, they're real pro Medicare for all, bro. LMAO. Listen, man, I don't know how you don't think that these folks are pro Medicare for all, man. They are. The Justice Democrats are all pro Medicare for all, man, and they're the only champions for Medicare for all that we have in the Congress. Not that that's our best bet at getting Medicare for all passed, but if you don't have sympathetic politicians in office, then you're not getting the legislation passed, and legislation does impact millions of people. So let's not kid ourselves there and ignore the power of electoral politics. So let's be real with ourselves. We got to be honest there. So Chris Lyons says that Tammy Van says agreed, pro TD, let's go back to the focus. Exactly. Yes. I agree. Let's get back to this focus. Michael Brooks and his greatness. Yeah, so Biden said he would never, Chris Lyons says that Biden said he would never implement Medicare for all, and Warren was against it also, and they still pushed her to hurt Bernie. I don't think they pushed her to hurt, I don't think they pushed her to hurt Bernie. I think they pushed her because they actually believed her lies, that when she tricked many smart people into believing that she, through her, she had the language of leftists, she had sort of populist rhetoric, and I think that many people were just fooled into believing that she was actually a leftist when she's not of the left. Elizabeth Warren, as Ryan Grimm said, author of the book We the People, as he said, Elizabeth Warren is not of the left, and so we just have to recognize that. What Up America says, all the way, man. Good channel. Thank you so much, What Up America. Really, really appreciate that. What Up America says, oh my God, the Russiagate from TYT. Yeah, it was terrible, man. They were definitely in on it. I mean, Cenk was one of the biggest perpetrators of it. I think Anna Kasparian. They lost me on the Russiagate coverage. Honestly, it's what slowly pushed me off of TYT and onto other places like Michael Brooks and like other real left YouTube, getting into Socialist, Angie Speaks, Non-Compete. Folks like Peter Coffin and just other voices on the left. And Chris Lyons says TYT has shown themselves to be tools of the establishment, and MSNBC on steroids countless times. They are a detriment to the progressive movement and real change. TYT has definitely let me down time and time again. I don't think that they're the same as NBC. I don't think that they're MSNBC on steroids. I think that they're definitely better than MSNBC. Emma is a Warren surrogate. No, Emma is not a Warren surrogate, dude. Emma was a Bernie supporter all the way through, and Emma was a Bernie supporter all the way through, dude. You're wrong about that. Emma Vigeland is not a Warren surrogate. You're probably being sarcastic slightly about that, or facetious, but Emma is not a Warren surrogate, and she is definitely a Bernie bro, and she called out a lot of Warren's BS. So let's be real here. TYT raised $2 million to hire. Chris Lyons says that TYT raised $2 million to hire reporters, then fired them all a year later. TYT is a grift, nothing more. Listen, man, I donated to that $2 million campaign a bunch of money. When I was like unemployed through part of it. I was upset when they let go of a lot of the reporters, but they did do good work, and I think that it gives people like a Jordan Sheridan. Shout out to Jordan Sheridan. I was on his show before, just like showed up. He interviewed me one time. That was a really cool experience. After a Bernie rally in New Hampshire this election cycle, and so. Yeah, I mean, they at least gave rise to people like that. I think Ken Klippenstein, I learned about Ken Klippenstein through that, and so I think that was they did some good work along the way. They did some decent work. Ryan Grimm, was there, and so they platformed people like that. So I don't think that it was terrible. I don't think it was a complete waste of money, but yeah, it wasn't what I would have liked to see $2 million sunk into on the left. That's for sure. I rather would have started one worker cooperative with that $2 million if I could have. I think it would have been a better use of the money for the left. What Up America says that capitalism still exists within social democracy. So true. What Up America? Yes, I agree. Social democrats are capitalists, and that is my core issue, obviously, as a socialist with these social democrats. They and I do not agree. What If America says democratic complacency. Chris Lyons says TYT begs for money while pushing the same DNC propaganda CNN and NBC does. Justice Democrats. So Chris Lyons says Justice Democrats vote with Democrats something like 98% of the time. Justice Democrats are the same as every other corporate Democrat. What If America says a common fool. Yeah. So I think that that we voting with the Democrats, I mean, that's what their jobs are. This is why we have to have a wider, broader understanding of left-wing of movement building and how to affect change on the left. And I think that electoral politics is not the end all be all. And that's why, and that's this kind of thing that I learned from Michael Brooks, you know, to bring this full circle and to bring this back around to where it should be. I think that folks like Michael Brooks were not sitting around telling us. I mean, he had stopped discussing electoral politics altogether on his channel. I think for, you know, you barely heard him talking about left-wing politics since Bernie dropped out of the race, really. A week or two of reeling from it, you know, calculating, sort of regrouping, recalculating, and then just shifted the discussion to left-wing movement building. And so I think that we need to, you know, that shout out to Michael Brooks, really, for doing what he did and for being that exceptional voice on the left that was speaking out in favor of these sort of far left ideas and doing it in spaces where we, you know, with these sort of social democrats and these other folks that are of the left that really aren't socialist and didn't have a full understanding. I remember folks like Anna Kasparian on TYT talking about socialism and talking about it like it was all like Soviet style communism and not about being an extension of democracy, but rather in some sort of authoritarian by default ideology. And so I think that Michael Brooks was the one that brought folks like that around. And when people like that have so much influence, it's impactful to be able to affect change in that way and to be able to bring people around to your way of thinking. The way that Michael Brooks could do was very unique. Let's see. So welcome to everyone that's just joining. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We're just talking about passing of Michael Brooks, left-wing commentator, host of the Michael Brooks Show, co-host of Michael Brooks, co-host of The Majority Report with Sam Seder, and just a strong voice on the left, and just sort of processing together. This is a really difficult time, I think, for 2020 sucks, man. What a suck. You know, it's just, this year sucks. It's a terrible year. And this is just one more thing that 2020 has done to us. And yeah, it's just, we're all just here processing together as leftists. So join us, and please do me a favor and like, subscribe. If you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe, please. And hopefully come back for more discussions like this in the future, because we lost a great one today, well, really yesterday, and we have a huge void to fill now, and we just all have to do what we can to step up and to try to do our little part. You know I'm just this tiny little thing starting out, but one of the great things about Michael Brooks was that he platformed a lot of black leftists, and I mean, I dreamed of one day being on the, you know, Michael Brooks Show. That would have been, you know, amazing for me. And so that's just like, yeah, I mean, I literally got the news. I jumped up out of bed and I started doing my first stream ever, because that's what he inspires. He made you as a leftist want to do more and want to get out there and do more. Let me get back into some of the comments real quick. So Tammy's holding it down in here. So Chris Lyons was saying that Emma's family has close ties to Warren. Emma's a Warren surrogate for sure, to be real. Emma equated Bernie and Warren the whole time, even though they're nothing alike. Nah, she drew distinctions, man. Emma drew distinctions, and she was very clear on it before Warren, you know, dropped out, before the whole Bloody Monday thing happened, where Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar dropped out and coalesced behind Joe Biden after South Carolina. You know, all in the mix of that, like Emma, long before that, had drawn the line and was a clear Bernie, pro Bernie, Bernie bro, you know, and was pushing Bernie. So I disagree that about that, Chris. Tammy says TYT is a mix of center to left perspectives. Absolutely. 100%, and overall isn't as left as they should be. Of course, agree 100%, but no one claims TYT to be the left news source. Exactly. I agree. I couldn't agree more. I'm biased, obviously, there, but I could not agree more. Yes, they're not the end all be all of left wing politics and commentary, but they are a gateway to the left for many people, the same way that like folks like freaking John Oliver and Stephen Colbert can be. Like, most people say they start there, where you start to like, ooh, you know, dip your toes in a little bit, and then you're like, oh, am I a little socialist? And so, yeah, so I think that they give a range of perspectives. We got to be honest about that. Got to be nuanced about that, and recognize that they also platform folks like Kyle Kalinske and Michael Brooks, and they gave a platform to folks that we otherwise wouldn't know about if it weren't for TYT. So credit to TYT. No disrespect there. They definitely have a place on the left. Tammy says they've definitely got neoliberal aspects, but the point is they're like a potential gateway for people to move to the left. Exactly. Same, you know, exactly what I was saying. Same thing. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. They are definitely a gateway for the left. So TYT, Chris Lyon says that TYT is neoliberalism recycled into a clean new package. No. Neoliberal in what sense? Free market, that they believe that the market is the solution for everything. That's what I consider neoliberalism. That ideology that every problem can be met with some sort of free market solution in some sort of regulated market. You know, some market solution. Let me not say free market solution, but some sort of regulated market solution. So I you know, obviously based around based on capitalism. So yes, in the sense that they are largely, the folks on TYT are largely capitalist. Yes, we agree there. Yes, they are largely capitalist, but they are not. I don't believe neoliberal. I think that there's a difference between a neoliberal ideology and a purely neoliberal ideology, which is, you know, a pro-war because war can be profitable for, you know, the military industrial complex. That is not the same as what a jank, a progressive, an anti-Kasparian those ideologies don't align, don't overlap 100%. So I don't agree that that's neoliberalism. I do think that they have some neoliberal mindsets. I do think so. I do think that they all are, you know, pretty much capitalists across the board. So yes. Tammy says, I would give TYT more credit than to group it exactly as MSNBC or CNN. Things are a spectrum. Absolutely. Chris Lyon says TYT higher ups are all former Fox, NBC, MSNBC, and CNN higher ups. Yeah. Yes, I like the camaraderie going on in the chat here. Loving it. What up, America? Tammy, nice. Chris Lyon says that Emma is a neoliberal, spoiled rich kid. She's a Bernie bro, dude. I just deal with it. All right. Sorry, Chris. You type a lot. You type very fast too, Chris. Props. You are getting a lot here. I appreciate it. I really do. Seriously, I really do love that. I love having these sorts of debates out. This is what I live for. So you're seriously, like, I can't tell you how much it means to me to just be having these conversations out with folks that are clearly passionate about these sort of issues, and I know are fighting for the same sorts, towards the same sort of goals that I know that I'm aligned with. And so I really appreciate this. I can't thank you enough. So folks like Chris, we may disagree, but I absolutely love you being here, and I appreciate it so much. And so thank you for showing up, for sticking around, for talking about these issues with me, and for having these discussions. I love it. I live for it. And so thank you. This is my dream essentially. And folks like, just to keep bringing it back full circle, folks like Michael Brooks are a part of the reason that I have that dream, and that I've sort of been inspired to even come this far in making this happen. And so Thank you everyone for being here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell to get all the notifications. Even though notifications can be, let's be honest here, kind of annoying and, you know, may not be the best thing for our mental health. And so let's also, if that's an issue for you, please do not click that bell and do not get that notification. You can subscribe, but just don't do the notification because you know, I don't want folks getting stressed out or adding to anyone's stress in any way. So I know what this whole, I worked in software. I know about a lot of these sort of tools that we use to game people's brains into just constantly engaging with these platforms. And so if you have the capacity for it, please hit the bell to get the notifications, and I really do appreciate it. And so keep coming back, having these conversations. I love it, and I really do appreciate it and enjoy it. So Chris says that TYT still push Warren, even though they supposedly are against money in politics. Yeah, I mean, when she was so clearly flip-flopping on those issues, it really did trip me up how they stuck around and were still, you know, promoting her and acting like she, you know, how could they let her get away with this stuff? It really was. So Chris, we definitely agree there that, like, she was so clearly talking out of both sides of her mouth. I don't understand how they didn't catch that and call that out earlier. And so, yeah, that's you know, I agree there. They didn't do enough there, and they definitely, for folks that are so active in the fight against money in politics. Cenk Uygur started the Wolff Pack, which I'm also a member of, and they are fighting to try to get an amendment passed to get money out of politics. And so I don't know how you can do that and then you know, be both platforming somebody like Warren and promoting her, endorsing, you know, they didn't endorse her. Let me be more precise. They didn't endorse. Cenk Uygur endorsed Bernie Sanders. Literally every TYT host that I know endorsed Bernie Sanders. So as much as we're talking about them helping Elizabeth Warren, let's also frame them correctly and give them credit where credit is due. They all endorsed Bernie Sanders. They just did they were way too friendly to Elizabeth Warren. And to the detriment of the left. Honestly, they did damage to the left by not calling her out the way that they should have way sooner, because I think that she has there's a lot of responsibility that could be laid at her feet for what happened, for Bernie's loss, essentially. You know, if she had dropped out and did after Bloody Monday, after the South Carolina primary, if she had done what Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar did for Joe Biden, if she had just dropped out because she clearly had no path to victory and endorsed Bernie. Clearly I'm salty if people don't recognize this. Clearly I'm salty, but she could have opened up the path for Bernie, and I honestly believe he would have won if she had endorsed him before the Super Tuesday. So that's what I believe. So What Up America agrees that TYT is an acceptable gateway. Same. I don't think that it can't be your final stop on the sort of left-wing ideology train. Can't be your final stop, but it definitely is a pathway forward. And I do think that it's a gateway for folks where you're just sort of, you know, they put it into a format that's familiar, like what sort of a cable news format, but with real left-wing analysis on the news of the day. And I give them credit for that. It's capitalist. It's left-wing capitalist still. But it's left-wing and center-left by global standards, you know, center-left. Or probably centrist by global standards. Let's be real. Probably centrist by global standards. But centrist by global standards is far left by American standards. So let's just be real here. So thank you to everyone who showed up, anyone new in the stream here. I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So back to the comments here. What Up America says, dude, you need more viewers. You deserve it. Oh, that makes me, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, What Up America. I really appreciate that. I hope that I will have more viewers someday. This is, you know, like I said, one of my this would be a dream come true for me. I've worked in software for like 5 years now, and I hate the industry, and I don't want to be in it. And so this is what I'd rather be doing with my time. This is what I enjoy, and so this is really a dream come true. And so thank you so much, What Up America. That really means a ton. I can't even describe. That really means a lot. So really appreciate that. Thank you, really appreciate that. Chris Lyon says TYT push for Trump to bomb in Syria after fake chemical attacks. Yo, I gotta check that. I don't know if that's 100% true, but dude, I don't think that they were calling for an escalation of war. But that would, you gotta drop me a link or something, Chris. If you can find me a link of a video, I'm sorry to ask you to do that work, but I don't think that that's true. But if it is, they're wrong. Like, listen, I'm not saying that I agree with them on everything. Like you will find that like I probably agree with them on maybe like 90% of stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just giving a rough estimate here, but like, you know, I don't know, 80, 85, 90% of stuff. I don't know, but I agree with them on enough. And I think that they're in an acceptable pathway and also a stepping stone for the left. Like, I don't think that should be I don't want TYT to be the biggest news source on the left in 5 years. I want something else to grow up, which I think that honestly Michael Brooks was doing that, you know, and was building that sort of platform through his work with Jacobin and others. I think that Michael Brooks was building that platform. And so, yeah, I think that because, you know, that with that loss, that's part of the loss of losing somebody like a Michael Brooks, is that you lose that potential for somebody to grow and become a platform for real socialist left-wing commentary. So, and that's what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm a black socialist who I just you know, democracy in the workplace, democracy in our housing, democracy in every institution that we rely on for prosperity and health and prosperity, you know, democracy in our healthcare. That's what I believe in. Let me get back to some comments here. They say that Chris Lyon says that TYT pushed for Trump to sanction Russia and push Putin into conflict. So, yeah, the Russian sanctions. Yeah, that was Russiagate stuff. Yes. They were wrong on that. I agree, Chris. They were definitely wrong on that. TYT work. Chris Lyon says TYT work for their donors, same as the DNC. No, their donors are us for the most part, Chris. So yeah, I agree with you. They work for their donors, but their donors are the people for the most part. They get, although, you know, I know what you're going to say. They did get a huge amount of funding from investors, and yes, they're a capitalist business. They're going to fall victim to all the issues of capitalism. So Jank recently, I'll call out another one for you. I'll beat you to it, Chris. Jank was known to potentially be union busting. I'm pretty sure that Ja'Cory Arthur was fired because of speaking out about trying to build unions within TYT. So listen, these people are going to fall victim to the same problems of any capitalist enterprise. So you're preaching to the choir here. I don't think that TYT are capitalists, and they're going to fall victim to the same deficiencies of capitalism. And so worker exploitation, #1 in capitalism. And so absolutely, I absolutely agree with you that that they're going to have issues, but as What Up America says, TYT has so many redeeming qualities. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. And there's a spectrum on TYT. There is a range of voices and opinions, and they are a platform that gives rise to that. And so we have to understand, and they also open up the door for so many more on the left. They paved the way. Cenk Uygur paved the way for so many of us. I'm probably not sitting here today doing this stream if it's not for somebody like Cenk Uygur. So we disagree on so much, and I'm a socialist, he's a capitalist, so we disagree on the fundamental points of economics. But I'm not going to just 100% dismiss him and say, you know, TYT's canceled, and I'm not going to watch TYT anymore, or, you know, and for the most part, I don't watch TYT anymore. But it's not like I'm boycotting them or anything like that. I just prefer a more left-wing analysis, and so I'm not going to go to TYT for that, and that's totally fine. But I also can accept that TYT is helpful in bringing people over to my way of thinking, and so call it what it is. So what up, America? I'm just backtracking a little bit. Tammy Van says that Warren's a snake. Yeah, she is. Warren is an absolute snake. Yeah, let's be real. Some people that you'll be, that'll, bother some people. I see, maybe that's why I just lost a few viewers, but that's just reality. And so, yeah, Warren's a snake, and that's just what she is. And we got to call it what it is on the left. And Bernie, the whole Bernie's a secret sexist thing was just the most snakiest thing I've ever seen. And she's out the Pocahontas thing. Come on, as a black person, other folks of color, that's some rate. I love that. I can't stand Charlemagne the God, that Hotep, but it was funny when she was on his podcast and he asked her oh, so you're kind of like the original Rachel Dolezal, and it was just yes, that's who Elizabeth Warren is. So let's all be real over here. And yeah, Trump would have wiped the floor with her if she was the nominee. But honestly, I think that if the tables were turned and shoe was on the other foot, Bernie would have endorsed her in that moment or whatever. He would have dropped out and endorsed her. So What If America says, don't you think Medicare for all would have possibly saved Brooks's life? Damn. That's wow. I don't know yet, because we're speculating right now, because I don't know what the cause was. I mean, to some degree, yeah, that could be, because even if it didn't do it directly in the case of him receiving the healthcare that he needed, I don't know what the situation is. If it has to do, this is total speculation. I don't even want to say that. I'm afraid to even say this because I don't want to speculate like this in any way. But if it's somehow connected to coronavirus in any way or anything like that, it's the kind of thing where somebody else having the healthcare that they need can save your life. And that's why we need, that's why universal healthcare. It's kind of with the fire, there used to be they used to sell private fire insurance, where you have private firefighters and you can get private, that idea was out there, and people did that. And the issue was, well, what happens if my neighbor's house catches on fire and they don't have fire insurance? Well, the firefighters aren't going to show up to put their house out, but then it's going to spread and catch my house. So even if I had fire insurance, well, it doesn't help if my neighbor, if my neighbor's not protected. And so in the same sense, public health is the same idea. If we're all protected, it makes us all safer. So yes, I think that we all have a better chance of better health outcomes with the Medicare for all. And so I don't know, what happened with Michael sounded like it was really sudden. That's all that I've been able to glean. Does anyone know, by the way, what happened to him? Has anyone found any more details yet? All I know so far, I'll check it out actually, but all I know so far is that it was a sudden medical condition, sudden onset. And so I'm not certain if Medicare for all would have directly changed for him, but I know that it would have made his life richer for sure if it existed, because he would have just been a happier person who would have been able to stress less, because saying no data. Okay, sorry, I think the stream cut out there for a second, y'all. Sorry about that. I think we're back. Okay, I think I'm back here, so I apologize. Let me know if you see me again. I want to catch up to some of these comments here, because I see a lot of comments coming in, so I want to catch up real quick. Let's go. Am I back? Can folks hear me? Okay. Please just drop a comment in the chat if you can hear me okay again. My stream just cut out just for a sec. Okay. Yep. All right. So we're back. So let me just catch up on some of the comments here. So Tammy said, in regards to TYT, they've definitely had disappointing takes on a good amount of issues, but even for you, it was a gateway to the left, as it was for me. Out of curiosity, I sometimes check out their current takes. Exactly, yeah. So Tammy knows me personally, and it's my girlfriend. And
he's referring to you as Chris.
Oh, okay. I think so. Tammy, she's with me. So, she was saying that the you that she's referring to is Chris, actually. So they've, so I see. So to Chris, okay. So they've definitely had disappointing takes on a good amount of issues, but even for you, Chris, it was a gateway to the left as it was for me. Out of curiosity, I sometimes check out their current takes. So great, exactly, yeah. So Chris, I think Chris must have even said that. Oh yeah, see, he says, yeah, I started with TYT around 2013 and stopped watching around 2016. So Chris admits that, yeah, you know, TYT was a gateway for him too. So I think we all agree here. I think we're all agreeing now. I think that we can all come to a point of agreement here that TYT is a gateway and not the final stop along a leftist, you know, path to socialist ideology. So yeah, exactly. You know, and Tammy says, you know, you don't need to like them. That's up to you. And exactly, I agree. You don't have to like them. I'm cool with both socialists who like TYT and socialists who don't like TYT. I consider you my comrades either way. And so let's catch up on comments here. That's when What Up America said that TYT has so many redeeming qualities. So jumping ahead. What Up America says that TYT has a progressive impact on media, has been overall positive. Absolutely. I think that they've done more good than bad. So credit where it's due. Pro TD Khan, let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I apologize if I am. But Pro TD Khan says, I wonder what will happen to the majority report now. I know they will continue eventually after a period of mourning, but I just don't think it will be the same. I feel for the majority report family 100%. No chance that it's the same again. Like, I watched the majority report for Michael Brooks. Like, I watched the majority report. Originally it was like TYT, then it was like majority report, and then I got over to Kyle Kalinske, and then you know, I really started to hone in on Michael Brooks on the show, and then I found out about the Michael Brooks show. Maybe he had just launched it, or I just found out about it, and then that's how I got over to Michael Brooks. Yay, 10 concurrent users. We're in double digits. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone that just showed up. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So yeah, just getting back to what Pro TD Khan said, absolutely, that's going to be, I don't think that majority report will be the same without Michael Brooks. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think that the I don't think that the Michael Brooks show can continue. That's kind of obvious sounding, right? Yeah, but like, even those folks that were around him, I don't know what they'll do. I hope that they'll form something, because honestly, I think that Griscom is a great voice with the like gems, in those, like, you know, he's good on economics, and Matt Leck, and I love Jamie Peck. So like, maybe Jamie Peck can be like the person that most directly will fill the void of losing Michael Brooks. But his analysis still, I mean, it was just next level. I don't mean to discount Jamie in any way, but she's like me. I mean, we both agree with Michael Brooks, but I don't know that I can even, I wish I could, but I don't know that I can. No, I know that I cannot. Actually, I know without a doubt that I cannot make the case for those things and argue for my ideas in the same way, because I get really, oftentimes when debating these ideas, I'll get very emotional because I'm so closely connected to these things. And not to say that he wasn't, he was, but that for me does it, where it'll sometimes, you know, sort of like, you know, I'll get emotional and not think as rationally and trying to debate and make arguments to people, and you just sort of get angry, get upset or whatever. And so yeah, and just being, you know, being as a black person that's you know, in this moment, and when you're so directly impacted and you know, feeling that pressure and stuff, it's just, you react very viscerally to a lot of these things, and Michael Brooks had a way of cutting through that and being a voice for folks on the left. So so I don't think that we get a easy, there is no replacement, and I don't think that majority report will ever be the same without him. So yeah, agreed, Pro TD. Chris Lyon says Jank is a capitalist to his bones. TYT is a business for him. Yes, agree 100%. Agree 100%. And that's why he does things like union busting and just like being so resistant to things like democracy in the workplace. You'll never see a capitalist give up their own power. So yeah, I agree. What Up America says capitalism can exist within and beside socialism, and that's what we need. Yeah, I think that capitalism, what you're calling capitalism, we may disagree on that. I don't think that, I think that they are a dichotomy. What Up America, I think that you can't have socialism and capitalism both. This idea of like, oh, it's a mixed economy and stuff. I think by my definition of socialism and capitalism being the economic institution defined by the employer-employee relationship. And I think that nice, we got 10 likes, awesome, thank you so much, everyone. And so I think that capitalism as defined as having any economic relationship where it's employer-employee. I think that as long as you have that, you obviously can't have that. You can't have a capitalist institution that has some sort of like socialist ideals or anything like that. I think that you can have both capitalist institutions and socialist institutions existing alongside one another. Absolutely. I don't think that they can be mixed inside of the same institution. I don't think that that's a real thing. Like, people will be like, oh, but America has socialist policies and stuff, when it really just doesn't. It doesn't have any sort of policies in place for actual democratic, workplace building or anything, or promoting a democratic economic sector or anything like that. But I do think that you have instances of capitalism and socialism existing alongside one another. I agree in that sense, in that that can be a stepping stone. Obviously, things like capitalism and slavery existed alongside one another. Things like slavery and feudalism existed alongside one another. So economic systems, when they're in transition, will exist. It will coexist like that. And so, yes, absolutely. I think that the way that we're gonna build, have a sort of our vision of socialism realized is through building up these small democratic institutions from within our capitalist nations, and then sort of building that up from the bottom up. And so, yeah, I think that it's going to have to exist within the confines of capitalism. I just think that we have to fight to try to get things like the same supports that capitalism has. We need those supports for socialist enterprises. So, there's a million banks out there that are there to lend to capitalist enterprises. They have investors, they have their own banking institutions. We need those sorts of institutions built up on the left. Folks like Mondragon in Spain are kind of a map for socialism, for sort of 21st century socialism, and how we can move forward. Not that Mondragon's perfect in any way. So just jumping ahead a little bit to let some other voices in here. Other Bully says, I feel like it's easier to believe Bernie said what he said than that she just made that up. Really, Other Bully, you really believe that it's easier to believe that Bernie said what he said than that she just made that up? That's crazy. So we disagree there. That's not easier for me to believe, or I think anybody that has seen Bernie's consistency on these sorts of issues. He's literally on video in like 1976 talking to a group of little kids in like a classroom, telling them about how just calling out women mayors across the country and telling little girls that they can one day be president. And you're going to tell me that that same guy somehow turned around and told Elizabeth Warren that no woman can be president? So yeah, we disagree there. ProTD Khan says that Majority Report is such a major voice of the left in America, and Michael was such an integral part of it. Yes, ProTD, agree 100%. He was such an inspiration for me. He was such an inspiration for me, and I just can't emphasize that enough. I got woken up out of my sleep because my girlfriend knows that how much he means to me. So she woke me up out of my sleep literally to tell me this. And I cried when I found out about it. It was shocking. That's a difficult moment for us on the left here, because he was such an important voice. So yeah, such a major voice on the left. What If America says, if you're a socialist, you also have, if you're a socialist, you have to also decide whether or not you want to, the market and the monetary system. So yeah, as far as markets and monetary systems are concerned, I'm sort of in the Noam Chomsky school of thought as far as that's concerned, in that I don't think that I'm okay with a system that exists without the market or a monetary system. I'm okay operating, and I think that would be like in my ideal future. But I can totally see a path to a true socialism, meaning no more, dismantling the employer-employee relationship the same way that we did the master-slave relationship. I think that you shouldn't be able to buy somebody's labor. You shouldn't be able to rent somebody else's labor in an undemocratic way. And so but as far as the market's concerned, I think that, markets existed outside of capitalism. Markets existed in slavery. Markets existed in feudalism. People took things to market in feudalism. Things like cotton and slaves were part of the market in slavery, obviously. So there was a market during slavery. There's a market during capitalism. The market is not unique to capitalism, but I don't think that the market is some sort of like structure that is like inherently crucial to any economic system. And I think that we could operate in a society outside of a market system and without any need for a monetary system either. I think that a monetary system is just a placeholder for how we barter and trade with one another. And so it's really just a means of bartering with one another, and a system, a way to store value long term. Like you can't, if you grow a bunch of potatoes, you can't just like sit your potatoes down. Not that, in my perfect world, you would grow your potatoes and then you would share those out properly, and people would be properly taken care of and covered. And so you wouldn't need to buy and sell in order to trade with one another. You wouldn't need a monetary system. So yeah, I think that we need to get towards that eventually, but I think that we're so far away from that, and that we can have a humane socialism that exists while still operating within market systems. It's just, how do we interact with each other on the market? How are socialist enterprises, democratic enterprises, worker cooperatives going to interact with one another in the labor market, in market, sorry about that, but yeah, in the labor market and in the market in general. And so how do we interact with one another? Do we trade money, or do we trade services, whatever the case is? And so I think I love debating those sorts of ideas. And I think I look forward to the day that those are the discussions that we're able to be having out, instead of just the sort of like fighting for our basic human rights, like healthcare for all, having not jobs, because I don't think a job is a fundamental human right, but being able to have a dignified, lead a dignified life, housing for all, housing as a human right, food as a human right, these sorts of basic things. I look forward to the day that we're not having to debate people for those sorts of things, and people's basic humanity, that black people are people, trans people are people, that, gay people, just fighting for, indigenous people just fighting for basic recognition of humanity. I think that's unfortunately where we are now, but I look forward to the day that we are not there any longer, and that we can debate stuff like this. So yeah, love that. What If America? Thank you for that comment. Chris Lyons says that Seder's the Rachel Maddow of YouTube. That's Chris Lyons. That's good. That was a good one. Props. That was hilarious. That was good. Sam Seder's the Rachel Maddow of YouTube. That's quality right there. I like that. I do not disagree. Sam Seder is. I released like my intro video on my channel. If you check out my intro video, I shout out Michael Brooks in my intro video actually on my channel. And I talk about, I think I mentioned Sam Seder, and I'm like, yeah, I like the majority, but I was like, I like Michael Brooks, but Sam Seder, it's like, yeah, so I totally get it. Like, I think that's a great characterization. Seder's the Rachel Maddow of YouTube. I love it. So What If America says, don't you think socialism is so stigmatized that it damages the efforts of those interested within this country? No, I don't. Yeah, it was stigmatized, but I mean, words are words, and we don't have another word for that. I mean, if we could have somehow found a way to preached those ideals without having to have used that word, I think that it would have been great. But like, that word was established, and the thing is, it got redefined. And it's not like, I'm reading this book by Ben Burgess, Logic for the Left, Give Them an Argument, Logic for the Left, and which I know about Ben Burgess because of Michael Brooks. It all will continue to come full circle to Michael Brooks. But in that book, he talks about the fact that about some of these sort of logical arguments, and this idea comes up in that, like, you know, people, the way of what we call socialism now, a lot of people will try to conflate socialism with we'll try to say, well, that's just that sort of Soviet style, like, communism. And that was, we had the whole Red Scare, we had McCarthyism in America, and so they have definitely done a lot to stigmatize socialism. And I think that it was an uphill battle, but I think that now more than ever, it's, I mean, for one, socialism, a plurality of people under 40 have a more favorable view of socialism than capitalism. So for one, as far as that's concerned, I mean, we're winning in the millennial generation. I'm an elder millennial, you know, in the sort of millennial generation, you know, what are we? I don't know why. Yeah, millennials, and then Gen Z. So the Zoomers and millennials. I think that our generation is very favorable to even the terminology around socialism. A lot of people still don't have a coherent, cohesive sort of idea of what that is. We don't sort of have a totally coherent view of what that is on the left. Like, so it's just, there's debate about what socialism is, and there are obviously different forms of socialism, just like capitalism takes different forms everywhere it goes. And so I don't think that it's so stigmatized any longer. I think that enough work has been done already by people before us to destigmatize that terminology. That no, I don't think it's so bad anymore that we can't use that term, because it is what it is, and it's the word to describe that. It's just been so thoroughly stigmatized for a generation who were Red Scared. Damn it, my camera shut off. So I got audio here. I think you guys can hear me, but my cam shut off. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm gonna get the stream back up. Give me 1 moment, folks. Okay, so just in case, so you guys can still hear me. Okay, folks, so if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. I know you can hear my audio, but you can't see video. That's because this is the new setup for me, and unfortunately my camera died, so I can't do a continuous stream right now. I'm getting the equipment delivered, and so after Tuesday I will be able to. If you're still here, please do me a favor and click the subscribe and like button. Oh, thank you so much. What Up America says, take your time, bro. I'm just switching a new battery. It'll take me just a minute to get the video back up. So let me, I'm gonna catch up on some commentary. Okay, we're gonna, oh. Ooh. Yeah, hold on 1 sec, yo. All right, folks, the video's back up. Let me just catch up on comments real quick here. Thank you so much if you stuck around. Thank you so much for the likes. We're up to 13 likes. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, folks. My name is Kamali Rose, and this is the Democracy podcast, and I just thank you so much for being here. We're just talking about the passing of Michael Brooks, host of the Michael Brooks Show and co-host of the Majority Report with Sam Seder. And just going to read through some comments, catch up on some comments here. All right, Chris, you I'm gonna like you say a lot, so I can't keep up with all your comments, Chris. Unfortunately, I can't read through everything because the chat's moving kind of faster now. But so I'll skip around, but I'm not gonna silence you here, Chris. But so I'm gonna keep reading your comments, just mixed in with other folks. ProTD Khan says, thank you. You got my name as correct as possible. There are sounds in it not possible in English. Okay, thank you so much. And sorry that, for our limitations with with English speakers, and I know that we're I wish I was much more cultured than I am, and had the ability to have some range. I don't speak any other languages, and so there's a lot of like sounds that I in other languages that I find really difficult to make, and so I really appreciate that. My name's Kamali, and so like I've with someone with a weird name my whole life, I really try to go the extra effort with getting it right. So Ben 2K says, I just woke up to the news of his passing in Germany and I'm heartbroken. Fuck 2020. What the fuck is this shit year? Yes, dude. I woke up, I got woken up to this news, but like, dude, it's like 2020 has sucked so bad. And this is just peak 2020 right here. Like, this is what 2020 is to us. Like, how could it get, like, man, I'm not even gonna say it. Let me end that sentence before I even finish it. I'm not even gonna finish that thought. We know how it could get worse here. So knock on wood, we all know how things could get worse. So, oh boy, yeah, that's difficult. So, yeah, I agree, Ben 2K, just a shit year. And I'm heartbroken as well. Thank you so much for being here, Ben, for showing up. And please do me a favor, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it so much, folks. And so who else do we got? Tammy says, LOL, I don't know enough about Sam Seder, so I got nothing there. Okay, so yeah, Tammy's not a Sam Seder fan or anything like that. Or yeah, Chris Lyons just letting her know a little bit about him, but giving a bit of a hard left critique on Sam Seder here. Chris Lyons says we need worker co-ops. Yes, we agree 100% on that, 1000% on that, Chris. I say that too much, 100%. Sorry, y'all. But yes, we need worker co-ops. I think that is the fundamental change that we need to make to our system in order to bring about the change that we need as on the left to overthrow capitalism. I think the way that we overthrow capitalism is through the building of worker cooperatives and democratic workplaces, one person, one vote on all matters that directly affect a person. So that's just how we must rearrange our economic system, and that'll teach people. You can't. Economist Richard Wolff says that you can't have. We're not going to get democracy in our political system until we have democracy in our economy. You have to teach people how to participate in democracy. And right now, the way that our democracy is structured is that it's this passive, distant thing that you interact with once only every 2 to 4 years, and then you go back away and you stay separate and you don't worry about it, and you let the smart people over there, you let them handle it. You let these elite set of folks, you let them take care of all these things, and you just go on about your business. And so that sort of mentality, that's why in politics there's this graph that shows like how the opinions of the majority of people affect public policy, and it's literally the opinion of the mass of people has zero impact on the outcomes of public policy. It's the opinions of the wealthiest top 10 to the higher the percentage you go, the top 1%, top 0.1%, the higher you go, the more aligned that graph is with the outcome. So the wealthiest people get their policies enacted. And so, yeah, we need worker co-ops in order to really bring about a humane economic system where we don't leave people, 500,000 at least, probably 1 million people homeless in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. That is a political choice that we make. I could get into it, and I will in future streams, about how much we could shave off of our, just say, military budget just to house the homeless. I mean, you could literally, if you do the math out, we could still be the #1 spender in the world on military, and we could give every single homeless person in the country the equivalent of about $700,000 a year. So that's what we waste in on important things like blowing up black and brown people in other countries, in Asia, in Africa, instead of taking care of people here at home or people around the world. So that's our priorities here. All right, catching up. What Up America says, oh, Chris, it's too soon to be bashing Seder. I agree. Yeah, man, it's too soon. Like, that was hilarious, Chris. But it's like, yeah, we're still, folks are still railing, and I can't even imagine how folks like Seder and Jamie Peck and Griscom, how they're feeling right now. Like, dude was a legend, man. Michael Brooks was a legend to people that don't even know him personally. Imagine what the dude was like to people that knew him personally. Like, I can't even imagine to be feeling that loss on a personal level as well as on a political level. I mean, folks like Crystal Ball are like, I really look forward to Crystal Ball's segment tomorrow. She's definitely gonna do it. I'd be shocked if she doesn't mention his passing. I'll be shocked if she doesn't mention it. And so I think she'll give a really heartfelt tribute to him, because he was such a clairvoyant voice on the left. So, and such an influential voice on the left. Thank you so much. We're up to 14 likes. Thanks to everyone that's liked, that stopped by. Thank you so much for being here, for for liking, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I hope that we have lots more discussions like this in the future. I really appreciate this. So this has been a blast, and it continues to be. So thanks for sticking around, y'all. Even through the little technical difficulties, a little hiccup there. I appreciate it. Can you tilt away from this a little bit? All right, just gonna adjust the cam a little bit now. So let's catch up to some comments here. What Up America says, so Chris Lyon says it's too late. You mean Seder should have got this criticism in 2016? It's too late, and he still pushes it. Yeah, I don't think that we're shy of any criticism on Sam Seder on the left. I think that socialists have a proper critique of folks like that and recognize them for what they are, and see them they're still an ally of ours on the left, and we gotta be able to bring people like that along with us. So What Up America pretty much says that, and says that you can make people better through persuasion. Exactly. You don't win people over by, we're not going to get support over to us, Chris, by just otherizing, outcasting, shunning these people. That, I don't know what that does for us on the left. How does that make us stronger on the left? By dividing ourselves up and demagoguing within our own ranks. I don't get how that makes us stronger on the left. So I'm not going to participate in that. I'm going to do my best to try to continue on the sort of legacy that folks like Michael Brooks built, and to just sort of continue on in that tradition of trying to be a unifying voice on the left, try to bring together. I have people in my friend group that range from neoliberal ideology to anarchist ideology, essentially anarcho-syndicalist, at least, ideologies. And so my goal is to try to bring all these people together and, you know, do my little tiny part to push us forward, and, you know, in trying to build this movement on the left, and just participate in any way that we can. I've done the electoral politics and phone calls and phone banking and canvassing and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, I've doubted the efficacy after, you know, this 2020 election and 2016 even, and now, so yeah, we're trying something else. And so we're just doing everything that we can here on the left, and folks like Michael Brooks really paved the way. And so just shout out to Michael Brooks, man. Shout out. If you watch Michael Brooks, you'll recognize the drop, but it's the shout out, man. You know, Michael Brooks, shout out, man. He deserves a shout out. Shout out to Michael Brooks, man. Like, yeah, I wish I had that drop for that music that he does. But that's how he was, you know, and always trying to shout out and highlight and platform left voices that were lesser heard voices. We're up to 17 likes. Can we get to 20? Can we get to 20 before the stream is over? I hope so. Let's get this up to 20 likes. If you're here, thanks for all the new folks that are showing up. Thank you so much for being here. Please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me to have you guys here, all you folks. So really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. As that capitalist Jay-Z would say, you could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So yeah, thanks for being here. So let me just keep reading through some of these comments. Chris Lyon says that Richard Wolff explains socialism perfectly. Yes, Dr. Wolff is my he's the first person that I look to on economics. So yes, Richard Wolff. If you're not already watching Richard Wolff, which if you're listening to me, I'm certain you've already heard of Richard Wolff. Or if you've watched Michael Brooks, I'm certain you've heard of Richard Wolff. Michael Brooks would often have Richard Wolff on his podcast, and yeah, Richard Wolff is the he coined the phrase, I think, democratize the enterprise. I mean, he created democracy at work.info. Check him out. You know, he's my guide on all things economics. So he's a great voice for understanding socialism. He has a book out right now called Understanding Socialism. He also has a book called Understanding Marxism. There's these really short books. They're great reads, and they're good to like give to somebody that's like broaching the topic for the first time and needs a sort of like a way to sort of get their feet wet in those ideas, or just sort of you can just radicalize somebody with one of those books. They're on the edge and they read one of those, the Understanding Socialism books. I think that's all you need to sort of get fully on board with a lot of our ideas. So yeah, I recommend those books to folks. Tammy says, I thought we already established that Russiagate is whack, so no one's defending them for pushing it, but that's just one take/topic. They cover a lot more topics. Chris Lyon says, Seder pushes every DNC conspiracy. ProTD Khan says, Chris Lyons, what are you smoking? Sam never pushed Russiagate. F you for that. When? Give me one example. I have listened to the show for years and never heard them defending that. So, ProTD, I'm also a huge, and let me just, yeah, so I'm also a huge fan. I watch a ton of Sam Seder, watch a ton of Majority Report, and I do think that what Chris is talking about is that Sam Seder definitely, like, he trafficked in some of the Russiagate conspiracies. One of his regular guests on the show was, he would have Marcy Whaler on, as well as Heather Digsby Parton. And those two, if you watch any of the, like, pretty much any, you know, you can type in Russia, Marcy Whaler, Sam Seder, and you'll find podcasts of his where they'll do whole podcasts where they were, like, you know, picking apart the Russiagate conspiracies and stuff. And so I do think that, you know, Sam Seder specifically, yeah, he trafficked in some of that. Yeah, he definitely, like, he's in the MSNBC sort, like, he's a commentator on there. Yeah, like, to some small extent, but he also, he had a nuanced take on it. They weren't 100% all in on it, but they did participate in some of it as far as that is. So I understand where Chris Lyons is coming from in that sense, that they had a lot of coverage on Russiagate. They just weren't doing it in the same vein as like a Rachel Maddow that was like sensationalizing it and turning it into and really like turning it all into one huge, like, just this whole huge conspiracy thing. I think they were trying to dig out some proper, you know, progressive analysis out of it, but I think they spent a lot of time and they wasted a lot of their time covering it when they could have been covering other things that were more important, but probably not as topical, and wouldn't have gotten them the same number of like clicks and stuff and same number of eyes on their material. So I'm not gonna like hate on them or anything like that for that, but they did have a lot of Russiagate coverage. It was just they weren't doing the same like baseless conspiracy theorizing, but they were giving a lot of their time to it in the sort of thick of it. But I think that folks like Michael Brooks, Jamie Peck, Matt Leck, Griscom, they were all very maybe not Griscom, but Matt Leck, Jamie Peck and Michael Brooks especially were very clear on it the whole way through, and didn't flip-flop on it, didn't flake on it. And I think that they didn't waste a lot of time on it at all, outside of just like entertaining Sam Seder's like specific like questioning around it. But like they were very clear on their stances on it, and not giving it too much air and letting it take up too much air on the left. So Chris Lyons says, Seder pushed Russiagate for 4 years. What were you smoking at? No, come on. Like, let's not, you know, we don't have to like, directly like go you know, ad hominem attack each other or anything like that. 'Cause I don't think any of us are totally like, out of whack here. Like, don't get too like, let's not, listen, I'm no civility politics guy or anything like that. I'm not gonna sit here and say like it sucks when people are being annoying and shit. But let's, you know, recognize that that a lot of us have the same goals and that we agree on most things. But so try to keep that in mind when we're debating each other, that we're mostly on the same side here. But you gotta debate these things out to get to some source of truth. So no worries there. Have at it. So What Up America says, but Russiagate and the Juan Guaido mishap, both parties are focused on maintaining war against socialist countries. Yeah, that Juan Guaido garbage, man. That dude is what a joke of a coup that they tried to pull in Venezuela, man. And like, yeah, you know, somebody said, you know, Venezuela is not just a socialist country, but it's a socialist country with oil, and so that's a big no-no, because that's going to get you that's going to draw the attention of the U.S. imperialist forces. And so, yeah, you got oil and socialism. Yeah, you in trouble. So don't have oil and socialism and drop the dollar, as Lee Camp points out. Drop the U.S. dollar as your currency, because then you're in real trouble. All right, so anyone, if you're new to the stream, please do me a favor, like, subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that's here. I'm gonna jump down in the comments because a lot happened here, and I just gotta skip ahead. So I'm sorry, I'm not like trying to silence anything. Okay, so all right, Protidi said good night. So I think Protidi had to leave. Thank you so much, Protidi, if you're still here. Thank you so much for being here and for joining and for commenting. I loved your comments. Really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And I hope, you know, wish you a good night, and I hope you come back again. I hope to see you again in the chat. So thank you so much for being here, Protidi. Shout out to ProTDCon for keeping the chat interesting in here. So thank you so much for being here and for joining. ProTDCon, I'll just read a few more of their comments. In the spirit of Michael Brooks, I'm just going to let this go tonight. Nice. Yeah, I came here to commiserate with good people. Too bad we have to deal with this. Yeah, I agree. You know, like we're here, like let's honor Michael Brooks here, man. Like let's not get at each other right now. Like this is really a time on the left where the left should be mourning together and just like coming together and trying to figure out where do we go from here, because it can't be the same business as usual, like, you know, getting at each other and getting after each other. We got to have a way. One of the big things that and part of the legacy that Michael Brooks leaves behind is like trying to get to a place where we really are, where we have some sort of vision on the left and cohesion on the left, where we're focused on movement building and how we actually enact the policies that we believe in. Like, how do we actually move from where we are now to the world that we all are sitting here arguing in favor of? Like, we all are riled up and we're mad or we're angry because we know the world isn't the way that it should be, that things aren't we don't have a humane society right now, and we're all trying to get there. And the legacy that Michael Brooks leaves behind is one of trying to build movements and build unity within the left, and trying to recognize that we have to have some sort of strategy. It's all about, it was about strategy moving forward, and how to enact, what's the best strategy to enact for getting the policies that we believe in push forward, or to get the outcomes that we want, because it doesn't necessarily have to be through public policy. Let's be real. On the left, everything can't be electoral. We have, some of this is going to be just through grassroots movement building and activism. And so, yeah, let's, in the spirit, yes, in the spirit of Michael Brooks, let's try to get past a lot of this and get ourselves to a place where we can, at least tonight, while we're here in this chat, just chill, vibe. I got some weed here I want to light up really badly and just smoke and chill and, just process, because this is crazy, man. This is crazy. Michael Brooks is an irreplaceable figure on the left, and we got to recognize that we lost one of our fighters. We lost one of our champions, and we got to regroup. We got to recalibrate, and figure out how we're going to push forward. We're up to 19 likes. Thank you so much, everyone who's liked and subscribed. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that like button. I'd love to get up to 20 likes tonight on this stream. I can't believe we've been streaming for almost 2 hours right now. That's wild. That's so crazy. I can't believe that. Yeah, this has just been a wild night. So, for anyone just recently getting here, we're just here discussing the passing of Michael Brooks, host of the Michael Brooks Show, co-host of the Majority Report with Sam Seder, and just a great YouTube podcaster, left-wing commentator, who was a huge influence of mine personally in my life, and just really was part of the reason that I'm doing this podcast, part of the reason that, I started this podcast in the first place. I shouted him out in my intro video. If you check that out, you'll see that he was an influence of mine. And so this really hit me hard, this news. And so we're just processing this. This is a tough night, and we're processing and just talking some left-wing politics in honor of Michael Brooks, and just discussing views and such. And so I'm going to read through some more comments. Please do me a favor, if you haven't already, and hit that like button. Be that 20th person to hit that like button for me. Just smash that like button. Thank you so much for everyone for showing up and sticking around and commenting. I really appreciate the comments. This has been great. I love the discussion in here. This has been amazing. This is like, yeah, you guys, yeah, thank you so much for being here. You really made my night here. Yeah, Tammy says, Chris, it's time to dial it back and save it for another time. The point of this video has been derailed. Yeah, exactly, man. We gotta get back to it and stick to the point of this, and just like, this is a somber moment on the left here, and let's just be real about that and recognize it for what it is. Michael Brooks was one of the greats, and we should, the least we can do is just get together and commemorate that and do it in a respectful way, respectful of his legacy that he leaves behind, and just try to recognize what that is, what that means for us here on the left, and how we move forward. And so here we are, and we're going to keep on pushing forward. And let me read some more comments here. So I like some of these. I'm not going to read them all because I don't want to keep up any of the, sort of rivalry type stuff. But shout out to Pro TD Con again. So Chris Lyons, I think talking to me, says, thanks, dude. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you, Chris. If that's to me, thank you. We hit 20 likes. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I really appreciate that. 21, boom, boom, boom. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Really appreciate everyone being here tonight. Chris Lyons says, I like the hill with Crystal and Sagar. They remind me of what TYT used to be. Yeah, I do. I love I really enjoy the hill with Crystal and Sagar. I know that current affairs article came out recently with Nathan J. Robinson, and we could dig into that a little bit if we want to, if folks wanted to. But about the idea of like right-wing populism and what that it really is, and is right-wing populism just fascism, that whole debate. But I really enjoy, personally, I enjoy the hill with Crystal and Sagar, and it's one of my sources of news. It's the furthest like right that I want to go for my news. And I do enjoy that sort of getting a perspective on what is the sort of new right ideology, and having some, I want to know my opponents. I don't want to like underestimate my opponents. And so I want to know what they are, what they're talking about, so that we can try to find some common ground where we can, and also know how we're going to tackle those ideas in debate, and just how we're going to overcome some of their ideas and their strategies from the right. So I like the hill with Crystal and Sagar. Ben says, just leave it. I don't think right now is a great time to shit on each other. Michael was a solidarity guy. Go split hairs another time. Agree. Yeah, I think we're So Pro TDCon says, yeah, I hope you get better people on your chat, brother. Good night, folks. Rest in power, Michael Brooks. Yeah, shout out to Michael Brooks, and definitely rest in power. And yeah, I think that we I think we can come to a point of agreement in that we want to honor Michael Brooks's legacy tonight by just trying to keep it, we're not doing respectability, civility politics here, but we're just saying, like, keep it respectful, because we're all on the left, and everybody in here agrees on 99.9% of stuff, and we all agree on the outcomes that we're looking for. And so Michael Brooks, part of what his legacy about is recognizing that, and then recognizing that we have to use that as some sort of pathway to or some sort of some sort of pathway to our movement building. And so yes, tonight let's honor that by trying to just recognize that here on the left we do a little bit, sometimes too much infighting here. We gotta recognize what hills to die on, sort of what battle lines to draw up, and not be tearing each other down ad hominem, and we can have, we got to get into the habit of debating our ideas in a way of like not attacking one another, but really trying to convince people of why our position is the right position. And so that's something that Michael Brooks taught me, both through his own work as well as through the people that he platformed, like in particular Ben Burgess. And so let's do that. Let's honor that. Let's live up to that, and just try to be respectful here. So jumping ahead. Chris Lyons says, I love Lee Camp. Chris Lyons says we have to hit the street and shut down the economic machine to get real change. Yes, that is real. Yes, we have to, and that's what I do. I mean, I'm as active as I can be, and trying to build, participate in these movements and help to do the work, building them where we can. And so, yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. We have to hit the street and shut down the economic machine to get real change. True. I think that we can all agree on that. What Up America seems to agree. Make it happen. Yep, absolutely. Chris Lyons says, yes, people must keep protests going. Yes. Ben 2K, and you need to do it internationally. International cooperation. Cooperations don't give a F if people strike in one country alone. Exactly. Yes. Let me reread that. And you need to do it internationally. International corporations don't give a F if people strike in one country alone. Exactly. We need to have international solidarity. That is what 21st century socialism is about. I love the Black Socialist of America, BSA organization. Check out their website. I think it's Black. If you just search Black Socialists of America, you'll find them. It might be BSA.com, but I'm not sure about that. But Black Socialists of America, I love their strategy and that they've laid out, and internationalism is a key tenet of it, and you have to have an internationalist perspective. That's what Michael Brooks also focused on, was having an international leftist perspective. And I think that was something that the left is going to have to do a lot of work, and it's not going to come from one person. Most likely it's going to have to come from a lot of people getting together and picking up the pieces where he left off and trying to push forward a new vision for the left on foreign policy. It has to be an anti-imperialist left-wing vision of the future. He talked about things. One of the like best things that Michael Brooks ever mentioned and talked about, that I just love the idea, that I was just so excited to see where he was going to take this idea and the sort of people that he would bring in to help round out that idea and sort of build out that idea for us, was this idea of a left-wing idea of immigration and what left-wing immigration policy would look like. Oh, this is awesome. So we got double-digit streamers, current viewers and likes. Thank you so much to everyone that's here. Thank you so much for being here. So he had a great left-wing strategy for, an idea about what left-wing immigration policy would look like moving forward, and for the new left. And what he talked about was something like, not a open borders policy, because he had the idea of respecting some sort of borders in some way, but it was this idea that for instance, in this parts of Europe, and I forget the name of this province or region, and it's this group of countries in Europe, where if you travel with your passport to one of those countries, then once you're in one of those countries, you can freely travel without having to get a new visa or anything stamped. You can freely travel within this entire region, as long as you have a passport from any one of those, either from one of those countries. If you're from one of those countries or you visit one of those countries, you can just travel freely within this region. And the idea is that, like, people from South America, Central America should all be able to freely travel. Right now, like, I lived in Jamaica for a while, and I saw the difference between, like, the difference of a U.S. passport versus a foreign passport is just wild. Like, a U.S. passport is pretty much like a ticket to anywhere. Like, a U.S. passport gets you anywhere you want to go. Whereas, like, having a foreign passport, like, I can literally go to pretty much any country that I want to go to with a U.S. passport. With a Jamaican passport, you can't just travel to America. You have to get an additional special kind of visa, and the whole process for getting that is just, there's so many loopholes to jump through. My own father couldn't get even a visitor's visa to come to this country, and he had 5 children living here. And so the immigration policy in the U.S. is extremely xenophobic and racist, and so you know, my father, you know, black, Jamaican, you know, he gets, you know, denied immigration, even though he's got 5 kids up here. But like, you know, Donald Trump, you know, Melania Trump can like come over like it's nobody's business and like on, you know, technically like, you know, violating, you know, whatever visas, even though, you know, I have all issues with that because I don't, you know, I just don't think that that's how we should be limiting people. If you want to come to this country, you should be able to travel here. But yeah, but having Michael Brooks was formulating these ideas on the left of like how we're going to move forward and think about these things like left-wing immigration policy and not just basic reforms, but how we fundamentally change the system so that we can rethink things in a socialist perspective, in an internationalist perspective. So I think that that's absolutely true, Ben 2K, that we have to have, you know, socialists and leftists have to have an internationalist perspective. And that's what Michael Brooks brought, and something that we have to carry on because we have to fill the void that's now left behind by losing somebody like Michael Brooks. And so yeah, I hope to do that on this podcast if I can. You know, who am I? But, you know, just like some nobody essentially. But like, I'll do my part. You know, it's just I want to do my part. It's all I've ever wanted to do is just like participate in some way, do my part in some way to you know, push these things on the left and to try to enact the changes that we know are the humane changes that we need. And so I think that Michael Brooks, he stood for all of that and he represented all of that. And the best thing that we could do is to carry forth that internationalist perspective that he brought and recognize exactly what Ben 2K said. It's what Sheldon Volin described as reverse totalitarianism as well. Chris Hedges talks about this a lot, Ben 2K, that this idea that corporations are not beholden to any country any longer. Like corporations are not beholden. They are these reverse totalitarian structures, and that they're totalitarian in the sense of, you know, total top-down hierarchical control, you know, amassed in a small handful of people. But also they hold no allegiance to a specific area. So, you know, these international corporations can just pack up and pit one worker against another, and they do all the time, constantly in these labor disputes, and they will pit one worker against another so that it's American workers, you know, competing against Chinese workers or Indian workers or South American workers or Central American workers, and you get those workers competing each other. And this was what all these like free trade agreements were all about. Were like not fair trade, it was all about free trade, the free movement of goods and capital. So capital and goods can move freely across borders, but people can't, you know, because we still have all these like crazy xenophobic immigration policies and things like that. And we do things like create a war on drugs and create all these reasons for people to want to en masse excuse me, migrate to this country. And we force that migration because nobody just wants to, like, most people want to stay where they are. They want to stay where they're familiar, where they know people, where they were born and raised. Most people want to stay there, and they would if they could, but not if not for being forced out of those situations. And so we should recognize that and have a humane immigration policy that recognizes that. And I think that we just, you know, we take so many steps back in losing somebody like a Michael Brooks. And so we gotta do our part to sort of pick up those pieces and carry that torch forward, because he got it so damn far, and we just got to carry it the rest of the way. And so, yeah, I'm going to try to uphold that legacy as best as I can, you know, do my small part. So thank you for that comment, Ben 2K. That was great. And I agree 100%. So reading some more comments here. Chris Lyon says, yes, but change starts here. We are the head of the snake. Yes, I agree. America. He says, so goes America, so goes the world. Yeah, I think that, you know, that's what the Roman Empire would have said about Rome. You know, that's what the British Empire would have said about, you know, Great Britain before those empires fell. And I think that we are, as Chris Hedges points out, currently experiencing the fall of the American empire. And so I think that for now, yeah, you're right, Chris. I agree. For now, that is true. And we should, excuse me, we should operate on the assumption that that's the case moving forward for now. But that could change for sure with the way that things are going. And with look at our, I mean, we're 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's COVID-19 cases and deaths. So that's just there's all these signs, the wealth inequality, there's all these signs of decay of the American empire. And so we just got to be able, it's really hard when you're in the midst of an empire to recognize the decay of an empire around you. And so I think that we have to do our best to sort of try to recognize that and recognize that, yeah, so for now, America sort of the whatever, you know, like so goes America, so goes the rest of the world for now. But I think that we are definitely on the precipice of a different time where that's just not the case, where there are the same way that, you know, America may just be just another country someday. And so, yes, for now, while we do have that power that comes with that, we should use that power and we should try to affect change as much as we can, because we do still have that as the case. So Ben 2K says there is a reason Black Lives Matter spread to Europe. Capitalists are global. We need to be global movements as well. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love to see the way that Black Lives Matter spread across the world, especially, I mean, just also in the wake of George Floyd's lynching, just the reaction that we've seen from around the world. It's obviously, it's not just a reaction to the lynching of George Floyd. It's obviously there was a lot more behind it. There's a lot of angst in the world right now. We have mass unemployment. We have a global pandemic where capitalism was already isolating us and alienating us from our jobs and one another. But now with the pandemic and mass unemployment, I mean, people are more isolated and more alienated from those jobs than ever before. And so it creates all those, the issues that come along with that. And so I think that a lot of that tension was there. Excuse me. I think that a lot of that tension was there, and the lynching of George Floyd was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and essentially just a catalyst. But I, as a black person, I certainly who's been, you know, had personal experience dealing with cops in America, and, you know, I have my own, we can get into that sometime, because I have a long history of experience with them. I think most black people in America do. You can be one of the good ones, and you're still, you can't avoid it. You just can't get away from it. And so, yeah, we can get into that some other time. Excuse me. So, somebody who I can't tell what their name is. So Ben 2K says solidarity forever. And then someone says, their name is just like underscores. Thank you, Michael. Yes, 100%. Thank you, Michael, for all that you did. I will echo that sentiment. Thank you, Michael, for holding it down and for being such a strong voice on the left for so long, man. We're going to miss you, brother. We are going to miss you. The left is going to miss you. Thank you so much. So, yes, thank you, Michael. Chris Lyon says, yes, all people of the world are connected and share the same story. Yeah, absolutely. And something that Cornel West points out that I think is so beautiful is that, you know, just when he talks about his realization, you know, him coming to realize that, like, every human life is equally valuable. And when you really gain that perspective, like, to recognize that, like, an American life is, you know, that, you know, the life of some, you know, Yemeni child is just as valuable and as precious as an American life. When you have that realization and that understanding, you have to approach the world differently when you realize that they have every much of a right to live a prosperous and full life as we do. But so many people, billions of people, are just not given that opportunity because the system that we've set in place through no fault of their own, they've been denied that a dignified life. So yeah, solidarity forever, for real. X4 says, God bless you, Michael. We will always love you, brother. Yes, I agree. You should have tossed the haters out. No time for that tonight. Sweet dreams all, and the rest in power, my dear friend Michael. Yeah, listen, hey guys, this is my first stream ever. I don't know how. I don't even. I honestly, I'm a bit of a free speech absolutist, but I'll work on that. We'll work on that together. We'll discuss that more. So I don't think I'll be like cutting people off of the stream, but if people are getting, you know, like if somebody's being like deliberately annoying, I think that Chris Lyons was if that's who you're talking about. Sorry, don't want to call you out, Chris, or anything like that. If people are talking about Chris, I think that he was somebody that has his honest beliefs, wasn't necessarily trying to be a total troll or anything like that. Just is, you know, holds these beliefs, and we got to do our part to, you know, pull him over to our side as well. But yeah, like, let's not waste time here. And I could be wrong about that, guy. So, you know, call me out on that. You know, that's one of those things I still struggle with. You know, obviously I think we need to have a stronger belief in free speech on the left, but also just recognize that, like, you know, everybody deserves to be heard too. So, not coming in with some like all lives matter BS here. Don't get me wrong here. Oh, thank you, Ben2K. It's called the Shenzhen area. Thank you so much, Ben2K. He says that area in Europe is called the Shenzhen area. And that's exactly right. Yeah. So the Shenzhen area is where you if you have a passport or you from one of those countries, you can just travel anywhere in those countries without having to like get a visa or anything like that. It's like you're traveling from state to state in the US. And so like that's the level of immigration policy that we should have for places like South America, Central America. You have a passport, you should be able to travel here freely. You know, it cuts out so much bureaucracy, and it would be just so much fairer, and also acknowledges the fact that we create a lot of the problems that force people to migrate here in the first place. So let's not create these problems and then force people to be stuck in the situations that we've already forced them into already, and deteriorated their way of living, and then we force them to stay there. That's horrendous. So thank you, Ben2K, for that. That was super helpful. I appreciate that. Ben2K says, but we got another system in Europe. Not sure something like that would be easy to do in the Americas. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think as it's currently constituted that it'll be easy, but I think that that's like a place that we could get to. And that's what Michael Brooks talked about. Like, these are not things that are going to like happen overnight. They're not going to happen within probably the next decade or two, but they're the sort of places what we should be talking about for the places we can go on the left, and like setting forward a vision on the left of a vision of hope, you know, hopeful vision, one of solidarity and internationalism and humanism. And so it's just about, you know, planting your flag in the sand and just saying like, this is where I think is the right place for people to be, and this is what we need to be moving towards. And because I have family that live in, you know, what would be considered abject poverty in Jamaica. My father, my brothers, a sister. So I've definitely, I recognize that concept of like every human life mattering, and the life in some island in the Caribbean, you know, being just as equally valuable and important as a life in America. That is very easy for me to understand because I know those people, and those people's lives are, you know, they're people that I love, they're people that I care about. So they already are as important to me as many American lives. And so for me, and I lived in Jamaica and I lived around those people, and so it's much easier for me. I have that sort of privilege and that advantage of actually being connected to people outside of the country. So and recognizing and seeing how our U.S. policies can impact those people, and how things like just our immigration policy can impact. And, you know, family separation was happening before Donald Trump, because like my family was forced to stay separated because of policies under Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. Like all of them. My father was denied immigration through all of those administrations. So you know, family separation is nothing new to this country. And so, yeah, I don't know if I don't think the same thing would work as we're currently constituted in the Americas, but it should work, and it could work, and it should. We're just a piece of land. And like, you know, I mean, some of those places like, you know, like England, you know, you got to take plane or boat, or it's there's water separating it, and so like even if it's not mainland areas, like you can still have these sort of immigration policies. So I think we should get there. I just don't think I agree that it's as we're currently constituted, Ben. It's probably not going to happen as we're currently constituted. Somebody underscore says, tell me why I should subscribe to your channel. I don't know, other than that it's because if you want to hear more, I don't know. That's why you should subscribe. Subscribe because I support, leftists and marginalized leftists and new up and comers. And yeah, subscribe because you get to say, 10 years from now, when I'm as big as Michael Brooks and these, no, let me not even claim that I'll never be there, but you can say that you saw me first, that you found me first, that you were one of the first, you were one of the first 100 subscribers. So you should subscribe because you get to say, you get to laugh at everybody later when I'm this huge, thing, and you're like, oh no, I knew Kamali before any of y'all knew Kamali. I was down with that radical democracy before any of y'all was about it. So that's why you should subscribe because it helps my channel to grow and to get these discussions had on a much larger scale. And so yeah, please subscribe. Oh, thank you, underscore. He said, so far so good. They said, you're very bright. Thank you so much. That's really awesome. That's really, that makes me feel warm inside. Okay, they say why I should subscribe is evident. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. That means so much, more than I can describe even. So thank you so much. Okay, Ben2K says, I listened for a while and I like what I'm hearing. That's why I subscribed. Thank you so much, Ben. That's awesome. Wow, you guys are just, oh yeah, I love you guys. You're making me feel special. All right, thank you so much, y'all. It's getting really hot in my room, by the way. I had to turn my AC off so that I could do this chat, guys, and it's getting super hot in here. So I'm like, I am sweating under this hat. I can't even take this hat off right now. I am just like, I am flustered right now, but I'm sweating, guys. So I do it all for you. I do it for the love. All right, that's another reason why you should subscribe. All right. So Ben2K says, don't want to shit on the US here, but your administration is not exactly a beacon of hope for anybody in the world. Yeah, I would say so. I don't think it should not be a beacon of hope for anybody in the world. If it still is, well, shame on them. I mean, yeah, I agree 100%, Ben. Yeah, it's okay to shit on the US. You don't want to shit on the US here. I want to shit on the US here. Okay, so I'll do all the shitting on the US for both of us. Okay, Ben, we're cool. We're good. What? Yo, what Up America said, hit me up at Sup America on Twitter. I can make an intro song for your channel. What? Yo, What Up America? If you do, yo, I will love you so hard. Like, you don't even know. I will reach out. I will be hitting you up. Let me jot that down at Sup America. I will definitely hit you up. What Up America? Thank you so much for that. That would be amazing, and I appreciate it so much. I can't even thank you enough. And oh, my Twitter, by the way, is at onto the fifth. So it's ONTOFIFTH onto the fifth. So I'm on Twitter, and I'll drop it in the chat. I think I can drop it in the chat. My Twitter is. I'm just dropping it into the chat here. Let me make sure I got it. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much. What Up America? I'll be in touch, and that would mean so much to me. I couldn't thank you enough. And as a leftist, I will do my best to, compensate you for your labor. So like if you do that work, like I'll definitely try to get you paid at a living wage for that work. I'll just be, you know, I can just pay out of pocket. And so like, yeah, thank you so much for that offer. And I will definitely take you up on that offer, and I'll reach out, because that's so cool. And that's like, you guys are just making dreams come true here. So I love you all, and thank you so much. And wow, yeah, that was really cool. Thank you. Thank you. What up, America? Ben 2K says that's why it's important to find like-minded people, organize strikes, etc. Yeah, absolutely agree 100%. I personally advocate for union building, and I mean with even people in my life, trying to, you know, educate and inform and support them in every way that I can to help them to build unions. And also why I have been fired from multiple jobs in the past few years for speaking out against what I consider to be injustices. I work in the tech industry, and I've just seen some really horrible stuff, and just, you know, people that are like sort of like, you know, well-meaning like liberals who like, you know, think that they're like doing things to save the world, but they have these like neoliberal ideologies that are doing so much damage simultaneously. And so yeah, I got fired from my last 2 jobs, and I've been unemployed for the past like 8 months now since my last one, because of the just sort of repercussions from that. And so I absolutely believe, you know, that we need to have as much union building, and I speak out in the workplace about things like systemic racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and the classism, and obviously just the lack of democracy in the workplace. And those things make people in power really uncomfortable. And so I'm no stranger to that stuff. And so, yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that. Ben 2K says, just think about all teachers unions in the Western world would strike at the same time. Solidarity for teachers all over the globe. Whisper of a dream. Yes, whisper of a dream. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? And that's why places like in some parts of Europe, and I think you said you're from Germany, right, Ben? Like you guys have like really strong unions there, and that's why like Germany gets all. I watch a lot of Richard Wolff, and he talks about like some of the policies, and you know, Germany's no like socialist haven or anything like that. They're still, you know, for the most part, social democratic. I think you would agree. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben 2K, but like social democratic, you know, strong labor unions that still have like, oh, thank you so much, Ben. 2K says he just followed on Twitter. Thank you so much. Underscores says, I subscribed, you should too. Yes, thank you so much. And What Up America says, got it, thank you so much. All right, good. We'll be in touch. What Up America, thank you. This has been really cool. This is like, yeah, better than I could have ever hoped. Yeah. Sorry, underscores, if your name is something else, but you're just underscores to me now. Someone named Kami, I like the name. It says, I just wanted to say that this is really good for your first stream, and rest in power, Michael Brooks. Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for the first part, and just agree on the rest in power, Michael Brooks. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. I can hear it. And so I apologize for that. But thank you so much. That really, really, really means a lot to me, Kami. This is what I've been wanting to do with my life for a long time. And the passing of Michael Brooks was just the absolute, you know, it was just the shock that I had to have to make the final step to get here. So thank you so much for that. And I'm so sorry. And I just wish that it wasn't on terms like this. This sucks. Like, Michael Brooks dude's a legend, and it's such a terrible way for us to have to be coming together. But I'm hoping, like, this is him. This is what he is, though, right? Like, look at this. Like, even in his death, the dude is bringing leftists together. Like, this is what he freaking does. And so, shoot, like, if I can do anything to continue that and carry that legacy forward, then, you know, even some small tiny part, then I will be able to die, beyond my deathbed in peace. And so, it's like you want to know that you impacted change. And like Michael Brooks, he made an impact in his life. Like 37 years, such a short life. Like you can only imagine what he would have been if he got 60, 70, 80 years to be around with us. But like just in his 37 years, he did so much. And like I hope that he was aware of what kind of impact he was on the left. And I hope that we prop up and elevate voices like his, even as we continue on, and try to, carry forth legacies like Michael Brooks's, and just honoring those legacies by being our best, being the best leftists we can be, really. Bill Ross says, what about technology? Technology is the real money and power. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Like, I mean, I was in tech, and I agree that a lot of power can be propagated through technology. I don't think that like, I'm not one of these people that believes like that, like, I forget what they're called, like where you think that technology like drives everything in a social system. But like, I'm not one of those folks, but I do think there's a lot of power behind technology. I think that, but I think that there's also, a lot of power behind other things that aren't technology. There's power behind institutions. There's power behind, there's institutional power behind things like patriarchy, white supremacy, things like that. There's also power behind like, just institutions, Congress, and these things that are not, technology per se. Congress has a lot of power. That's the Senate, that's 100 people in the country that have the ability to, to pass or reject laws. And so I think that there's lots of power outside of technology. I think that corporations are power, and they're not technology per se. A lot of them own or operate technology, but I don't think they are technology, and they have a lot of power. So I don't think that all the power is in, or all the money or power is in technology per se. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot I think that the tech industry is capitalism on steroids, I personally believe. And I think that it's that there is a lot of power in those sort of in investment, and they're the capitalists. They're the ones with capital. So yes, they hold power, and the tech industry is like a center for that. But so yes, on that, I think we agree, but I don't think technology is everything. And I think that, but it is a part of the story, and it's a part that we on the left need to take seriously, and we need to get a grasp on technology and know how to use it. I think that if you want to see a really good use of technology right now on the left, check out the Black Socialists of America. Have something they call the Dual Power app that they're working on that I'm really intrigued by. And the idea is that you, I'll check it out. It's called the Dual Power app. I won't get too much into it. Maybe I can do another stream about that and dig into that some more. But that's the kind of technology that I think it's a tool to help us on the left build democracy into our institutions. How do we actually have functional democracy in this modern era? And it's going to be with the help of likely software and hardware, and so in technology. And so how do we use technology to build a stronger left? And so yes, I think that there is some conversation to be had, and I think that this channel will definitely dig a lot into sort of the role of technology in left movement building, because it's just a personal interest of mine, being somebody that comes out of the tech industry and a leftist. Those sort of where my interests intersect, and so I will definitely be covering a lot of that. And so we can definitely dig into that some more. Bill Ross, I'd love to hear some more of your thoughts on that, and so we can dig into that maybe in a separate stream. Okay, Ben2K says, yeah, Germany, just followed you on Twitter, thank you so much. Underscore says, I have no name, thank you. Ben2K says, yeah, we got way more unions than the US. I'm a member of the Union for Education and Science in Germany. Dope. Props. Yo, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So Ben 2K is a union member for education and science in Germany, teachers, PhDs, etc. That's so cool. Yeah, that's so awesome to have a strong union still. Like, I forget what the number is. I think what's the numbers in America? It used to be that 30% of all people were members of unions at our height of America. I think it was 32% of all workers were in a union. Now I think it's less than 10%. So I mean, it's been decimated because as long as you leave these capitalist institutions in place, these capitalist corporations in place, they're going to do everything they can. As soon as you enact any sort of progressive policies or social democratic or left-wing policies, they're going to immediately begin the fight to reverse those. And so that's why universal programs are so fundamental and so important, because it's really hard to undo universal programs. Once everybody gets a taste of these social services and these great social programs, you can't take their stuff away. People will be like, there were like Tea Party protests where they were talking about like, keep your hands off my Medicare, and like they don't recognize that those are like, social services and social programs. And so yeah, I think that once you make a program universal, it's why like things like universal basic income I am in favor of, even though I think that it can be, if done just on its own, it might just be like a favor to capitalism. If we leave capitalism upstanding, it's just going to help capitalists maintain power, because it's just going to create a bunch of consumers for them. So Odd Jam says, thanks for streaming. I only found the Majority Report because of a clip I saw of Michael. I don't even think I'd be a leftist if I hadn't stumbled upon him. Yeah, Odd Jam, Michael helped me push way left on my journey. He helped me definitely move way further to left. So totally understand that. Like, I did not have an internationalist leftist perspective until I started really listening to Michael Brooks. So totally understand that. Yeah, agree there, Odd Jam. Ben 2K says we are social capitalists, I'd say. Okay, yep, more social safety nets, but capitalists nonetheless. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so still capitalist country, but definitely stronger social safety nets. I would say somewhere between where like a Canada and a Norway falls, like Germany, somewhere in there, probably closer to the Norway side of it, I say, but pretty similar things, just really strong unions and stuff, which I love. And Odd Jam says, I always imagined him with a massive gray beard, having written dozens of books. Dude, oh man, yeah, could you, man, like, imagine the books we were gonna get from Michael Brooks, man. Like, damn, dude, like, there's just so much that we're gonna, it leaves such a void on the left. There's such a void to fill now. Like, I really, yeah, we got a lot, some really big shoes to fill on the left, and I just don't. We're up to 25 likes. That's awesome. Thank you so much for everyone for liking, subscribing, for joining us and discussing. This has been really awesome. It's my first stream ever, so thank you all for joining me here. Yeah, I mean, Odd Jam, I imagined him. Yep, same. It was one of the first things I said when, my girlfriend told me that he had passed away. It was like, wow, I remember telling myself, like, man, if he's only 37, like, imagine all of what he'll do by the time he's 60, 70, by the time he's, looking like, Chomsky is now. It's like the life that this dude was going to live. He was trying to be, our next Chomsky, essentially. That's who this dude was. And like, he was just at the very beginning of that. Nobody would have called Chomsky before he was, this, at this point of his career or whatever. But it's like, so sorry, that was a bit incoherent, but I think you guys got the point there. So Ben 2K agrees with Odd Jam, saying, yep, we all agree there. Odd Jam says, just subbed. I feel your vibe, comrade. This kind of exposure is indeed the kind of thing Michael strive for. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And I really, really, really appreciate the support to everyone that subbed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Please like, subscribe. It means a lot. It helps the YouTube algorithm, gets more people to see it. I really appreciate it. I really do. And Jam says, nowadays, teachers' unions seem to be on the forefront of the labor movement. They're holding it down for the rest of the working class. Yes, have you, like, absolutely. Yo, shout out to the teachers. Some of my closest friends are teachers, and I really, really got nothing but love for teachers. And I hate the fact that teachers are not paid what they no workers paid what they deserve. We all know, but teachers are really, really just grossly underpaid in this sick society that we've created. We demand so much of them. We ask them to be, we ask them to be counselors and educators, and now even bulletproof vests for our children. And we don't even want to pay them, what we pay software engineers who sit on their ass, myself included, who sit on their ass, taking jobs away from other people, building the software that just takes jobs away from other people without thinking twice about the impact of that software. And we pay those people 100,000, 120,000 like it's nobody's business right out of college. But a teacher who's literally has our children's, lives in their hands at their most delicate stages of life. We think that those people somehow deserve to be paid less than a living wage and should have to also bear the responsibility of being able to, make up for the school supplies that the schools don't, have for these children. So they're coming out of their own pockets to buy their students school supplies. And then in the middle of a pandemic, we're going to tell all those people to go shove them back in a classroom with a bunch of people and not think twice about putting their lives at risk. And so, yeah, I think that the labor movement has been I would say teachers were the catalyst for the current labor movement that we have in the country. I mean, it was the West Virginia teacher strikes, then Oklahoma, and then I forget where else, but I remember when Kentucky, what's his name? Matt Bevin, I believe, was the old governor of Kentucky that got voted out because he dared to cross the teachers. He tried to play while the teachers went on strike. He tried to come out and say that, play this card of oh, the teachers don't care about the children and they're just leaving them. The dude actually had this sick bastard said that kids were going to be molested because of the teachers, because the teachers weren't going to be in school, that kids were going to be stuck without anybody to watch them and to look after them, and that parents were, and so they were essentially putting that on the teachers to say, oh, the burden lies on you if any harm comes to these children. Really, it's well, all you got to do is just, the teachers were there striking, saying we want, one, to be paid living wages, but then also for the schools to be funded properly so that the students have the things, their needs met. And so it was just a really sick, backwards but really sick, disingenuous attack on the teachers, and he lost his job and his election for that. So teachers have absolutely led the labor movement in the country in some of the most Republican and red states and stuff, and teachers are leading strikes in these places, and it's really inspiring to see. So shout out to teachers everywhere. You deserve to be paid way more than you're being paid. You should be paid six figures. You should get paid as much as engineers get paid. And it's really disgusting and twisted that in our society we don't value people properly in order to do that. So that's just yet another deficiency of capitalism there. So Jam says, yeah, I made the same Chomsky comparison a few hours ago. Yeah, see, yeah, we're on the same page here, Jam. We are here, Jam. Jam says, I'll keep chatting if you need to respond to shit. Didn't realize this was your first stream. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jam. Yep, first stream. This is my first stream, inspired by Michael Brooks. Really, his passing was just that was the final motivation that I needed to get up and get this done. I've been getting set up for a while, and I had started this channel, and then I kind of fell off after Bernie dropped out of the race. It was just that I think the left was just picking up the pieces then too and trying to figure out what was going on, and I just didn't think I had the capacity at the time to be, Cornel West says it's not enough to just have hope. You have to be a hope. And so I didn't feel like I had the capacity to be a hope, and I really want to be a hope. And so I didn't think I had that capacity, and so I just had to step away for a while. And so it's really good to get back to it, and to get back to it in this way with the live stream is really cool. This is really fun, and I hope that I can get this sort of interaction again. I know Michael Brooks passing, like, this is the last thing that I wanted to be, you know, doing this around. Like, I never dreamed that this would be the topic of a stream I would be doing, but it's just, he was such a huge influence of mine, and his passing is going to impact my life directly. And so I had to come on, pay my respects, and just, I wanted it to be, you know, I wanted to use it as the motivational factor to do something that I think is in the vein of his sort of legacy, is in that same tradition. And so I wanted to do my part to finally step up and try to just live what he talked about, and live that sort of ideas that he brought forward. And so that's what I'm here doing, and I'm trying to do my part. So thank you so much for showing up, everyone, and for being here, especially for the first stream. This is really cool, and it's just been really great engaging with all of you guys tonight, you folks tonight. So I really appreciate that. Underscore says, still here, still listening. Thank you, underscore. I love it. Or no name. Ben2K says, seriously, that your teachers in the US need to buy supplies is so crazy to hear for a European. Like, dude, is that not crazy? Is that not insane that teachers have to, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the way that we fund our schools in this country is based on local property taxes. So the better the houses are in your neighborhood, the better your schools are going to be. Tell me that's not the most backwards way of structuring your education system. If anything, that's the absolute backwards way to do it. That's the absolute inverse of what should be done. If anything, the nicer the homes in the area, the less funding you would need for education, because the more likely those families are to have all the resources to do things like having extracurricular, you know, having after school tutoring, and to be able to put their kids into extracurricular activities and those sorts of things. And so we do things absolutely backwards in this country. Obviously, that's because we were founded on, you know, this country was built up out of a racist, patriarchal, society, also homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, that was made to try to keep, that was a very structured, very systemically racist in order to hold down black and brown people. It was done through redlining districts. Also immigrants, the Irish and Italians, when they came over, were also othered. The Jewish people, same thing, got othered. And so they were seen as less valuable. And so they deliberately diminished the property values in those places through redlining, which allows them to also come in and say, well, if your property values are lower, then you collect lower property taxes, and so your schools get less money. So it's a way for them to just hold these people down. So yeah, it's a really sick system that we have here. And like I said, one of my closest friends is a teacher, and she literally has to buy supplies for her students out of her own pocket, and she's already not making a living wage. She makes, it's just gross. So we got to do better. We have to do better than this. We can do better than capitalism, and we must do better. So Jam says, Ben2K, for real. I used to live in the UK when I was a kid. The US education system was shocking to experience. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. I can only imagine. So underscore says, still here, still listening. By the way, I watched many videos from big YouTubers on Michael's passing. Wow, yours is by far the most sincere, the most honest. That's awesome. Wow, way to go. Thank you, man. Thank you. Wow, that means so much to me. I can't even, you guys are blowing me away here. I can't, thank you so much. I can't even, thank you so much. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Y'all are all amazing. I really appreciate everyone that's here. What Up America says, great work. Ben 2K says, yeah, it's crazy. I got family in the U.S. on Long Island, New York. Shout out to folks on Long Island, New York. Yeah, it is crazy. Ben 2K says, some stuff is so far off, hard to come to terms with. Yeah. When you like, the thing about America that happens a lot is that, the thing that happens with America a lot is that we don't recognize that like because our education system is lacking, but also like our understanding of like international news. Like we have no concept. Like most Americans barely understand actual American history. Like we get taught this really super whitewashed version of American history where like Christopher Columbus was this awesome fella who just like came over here and like, you know, made happy with all the native people, and like it's just terrible. But like so most people don't even have an understanding of like American history here in America. For that you should I recommend The People's History of America by Howard Zinn if you want to know the real history of America. So the idea that they would understand these like international politics and foreign policy is like so far-fetched. And honestly, I was one of them for most of my life, so I totally, you know, like in that same boat. And like we act and we operate as if America's the entire world, and we can't even look we can't even look as far as Canada for better policy. Like we'll sit here in America and talk about like things like Medicare for all as if there's not examples of other countries. Like you will have people sit here and make the argument that, oh, it's just impossible to do. America's too big. We're too big and we have too many people here. But you can find countless examples of other countries with higher population or with larger land mass than us, who provide these social services for their people. So, but we're just so stuck on this idea of like American exceptionalism that we just think we're so special, and that whatever happens here, it's completely in a bubble, and we just can't look to other places for guidance in other countries, for example. And so we do this all the time where you know, it's as if we live in a vacuum, and you talk about something like Medicare for all, and you can have so many examples, countless examples, where it's literally we're the outlier, we're the odd one out, and people don't recognize that and don't even have that ability to like look and say, oh wow, this was already done in all these other countries over and over and over again. For decades it's been this way, and we still can't get those policies, and we're still acting like it's just these are impossibilities, when really these things exist all over the world. Things like paid medical leave, you know, or paid parental leave in you know, at your workplace and stuff, things like that just like exist everywhere. And you know, paid vacations like being mandated. Like we're just like the only country of all the like OECD countries and like every industrialized country, that we're the only country that has no mandatory federal mandated paid parental leave from work. So like these are just like, people hear this and they just can't believe. In America, if you have a baby in our healthcare system, if you have a child and you give birth to a child and you want to touch that child, you want to make skin to skin contact with that child after having given birth to that child, it costs $40. Like you have to pay $40 and like lots of insurances don't cover it, so that's like coming out of pocket. So like, but there's a charge for that like people have to pay. So some people do not touch their child when their child is born because they can't afford to. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna leave you with that for a while. So So yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, that meant so much. Underscores, that meant a ton. But Ben 2K says, I didn't know about the funding. Isn't that a crazy structural problem? Yes. Isn't that wild? Like, yeah, the funding for the educational funding it's just designed to keep the struggling people struggling. And so, yeah, most other countries, they do the opposite. They look for where there are deficiencies in the system, where there's not enough money coming in through the taxes, and the federal government will boost those places and will compensate for that. But in this country, we don't do that. We could have easily put together a federal program that says, if that happens and you do that based on local property taxes, we're going to come in and we're going to give funding to all the areas that are lacking in that. We don't do that in this country. So that's just not a thing. So, yep, absolutely just a crazy structural problem. So Odd Jam says, agreed with underscore about the thing about watching the other YouTubers and stuff. That's says agreed with underscore. I appreciate the other vids. Some of them express some real anguish, but this is the first time I felt a little better. Oh, wow. Thank you. You don't even understand. You guys are like, you get me all choked up here. I love you guys. Thank you so much. That really is awesome. And I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you so much. So, what do we have here next? Ben2K says, doesn't that keep poor people uneducated by system design? Exactly, Ben 2K. Absolutely. It keeps the poor people, it prevents them from getting any kind of proper education. And they say there's this there's this line in a reggae song that I like where he's like, he says, if education is the key, then tell me why the bigger heads, they make it so expensive for like they make it so expensive for us. Like, if education is the key, why do they make it so expensive for people? Like, if it really is the key, then just give it to people. If that's the key, give it to people. Why are you putting up economic barriers to education if that's the key to everything? If that's the key to, overcoming all these systemic issues and racism and all these things that they say that, all people just need education. Well, then give it to them. But the system is literally designed to prevent that from happening. I used to I did this I was a mentor in this like program called Build that was like, it's like entrepreneurship for like I was a mentor for, they were high school students that were really young high school, so like freshman high school students, and they were in like, a lot of them were come from low income families, and I knew kids that literally would go home and not have food to eat at night. Like, they went home and the schools would have to provide like an extra meal. Like, this program would provide an extra meal for the kids, and that was like, for a lot of them, that was like the only meal that they could get if like they had to do the program, because essentially they want to get, they need the extra meal or whatever, because they just can't afford it. Like, that's broken. Like, kids should be fed in school. Like, how can you learn if you're not eating, if you don't have enough energy to focus? Like, that ends up getting kids in trouble because they end up exhibiting behavioral issues because they're things like just being hungry, like, so yeah, these are major structural deficiencies where we should be giving more funding to these people. But then we got like a crazed Secretary of Education in this country right now, Betsy DeVos, who like is literally like threatening schools that are not reopening like prematurely. They're threatening them with removing their funding, their federal funding at all altogether. So like, even in the way, like in the midst of this, like in the midst of a pandemic, they're still like threatening, teachers for not risking their lives further. So yeah, it's an absolutely backward system that is just, it's vile on its face, and it's inhumane on its face. And so yes, that's the messed up way we fund education in America. So Huzaifa Ahmed says, hey all, terrible timing, God bless y'all. Yeah, dude, like yeah, terrible timing, and bless you too. This is, yeah, wild times. Underscore says, Jim, hey, I was shocked by this news. I respect the other big name YouTubers and their tributes, but they were very standard issue messages. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's disappointing. I honestly, I only checked out a couple of folks's before I came on here. I didn't even see Kyle Kalinski's, who's somebody that I really would like to see. I just checked out really Tim Black and Bhaskar Sankara's takes on Michael Brooks passing, and then that was just I was just like flipping through Twitter and seeing what some folks were saying, and then I was just like, this is it. Like I pulled myself up out of bed and just got right to it and started recording this live stream. So yeah, these are really raw thoughts you're getting from me here, and just like unfiltered here. So I'm glad everyone's here, and thank you for showing up and for sharing your thoughts and for discussing this stuff with me, and just for being here discussing with each other. And I really love it. I love that there's just like this is what Michael Brooks was all about, was unifying the left, was bringing the left together to try to move forward with a better strategy for the left to actually win. We want, on the left, we need to win, and we need to win soon in order to save the planet from catastrophe. So if that's the case, then what do we do? How do we go about making those changes happen? So that's the legacy he leaves behind, and that's what we're trying to uphold here. And so this is really, it's just been cool to spend this time with all of y'all, starting to get to know y'all and everything. So this has been fun. Thank you. And just like engaging, not fun, but really just like engaging. It's been rewarding. That's the word I'm looking for. So very rewarding. It's a really shitty circumstances to be meeting under, and to be doing this under. It's just awful, and wish it wasn't so. And so it's just I'm glad to be able to sort of get these raw thoughts out with y'all here. So Ben 2K said, Odd Gem says, what's the name of the song? Oh, what's the name of that song? I'm gonna try to remember. I'm sorry. I think it's Richie Spice. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on one second. I'm gonna try to find the name of this song. Yeah, it's Richie Spice. Youth Dem Cold. I'll drop a link to it in the thing. I think if I start playing this, it's gonna play my audio through my speakers. But hold on one second. I'm gonna see. Hold on a second. I'm just getting y'all a link. I hope that YouTube doesn't like yell at me if I drop this link in the chat. Here's the link to the song. It's called Youth Dem Cold. Who asked for it? Let me at you. What's the name? Oh, Ajam. It's Youth Dem Cold by Richie Spice. It's a reggae song, and here's the link. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna try to do it all with the link in there, and hopefully it works. Okay, cool. I think it let it work and let me do it. Cool. So Ben 2K says, thank you for streaming. I was all over the place in my head because of this sad news. It helps to talk and listen to like-minded people. Yeah, absolutely. I felt the same way. I was just like torn up and not knowing exactly how to process it. And so I just, because Michael Brooks is who he was, and this was his space, and I just couldn't think of any better way to make a tribute to him than to come and let him be the inspiration for me taking this next step with this endeavor that I know is something that he would support. And like, he was so big and amazing at platforming, you know, marginalized leftists and leftists of all type, and socialists and black leftists. Angie Speaks, I saw her take on it, and she was saying how when she was just starting out, she got Michael Brooks platformed her. And I watched the interview that he did of her, and I remember I had gotten onto Angie Speaks channel really early. She's a black socialist from the UK, and she's, yeah, I don't even know if I can call her socialist. Sorry, leftist. She could be anarchist. She's further left than me, I think. And she's amazing. Angie Speaks. Check her YouTube channel out if you haven't already. She's great. But she spoke about it and just said that, like, how Michael Brooks had platformed her when she was really early on in her sort of YouTube career. And he really was like very supportive of her. And just like, I dreamed of like someday being on the Michael Brooks show or something would have been a cool, like, it would have been amazing. And so I'm really sad that I'll never get to meet him. I also missed out on the opportunity to meet Michael Brooks in person, most likely, and just at least to see him in person. He was speaking at Harvard University in Cambridge. He did a panel with Cornel West, Crystal Ball, and him, and I didn't realize that they were all going to be there, or there's nothing that would have kept me from being there if I had known. And so I've traveled all the way from Boston to UMass Amherst in order to see Cornel West speak, just him. It was him and Tim Wise, actually, and I was pretty cool with Tim Wise, and like wanting to see Tim Wise too. And so like, yeah, but like Cornel West was the thing that got me out there. So like if I knew Cornel West and Michael Brooks and Crystal Ball were all going to be at this talk, I would have been there. It was like last year, I think it was like last year, or it was during this election cycle. So I feel really sad that I missed out on that opportunity. I'll never get that opportunity again, and it's just really sad to think about. But somebody said, oh, so Jim said, yeah, okay, so let me just go back. Ben 2K says, wasn't DeVos the lady who wanted guns in schools to shoot bears or something? Yup, that's her. Yeah, that was her. Yup. She said that you need guns in schools in case a bear attacks, because that's just totally reasonable. And yeah, she's such a, she believes in, like, she's against public schools in every way and wants to use public funding to fund private and charter schools that teach fundamentalist religious teaching in their schools. So that's her whole belief. That's everything that she's about. She destroyed the Michigan public school system almost single-handedly with all of her money, and wants to do that on a national level now. So yep, that's Betsy DeVos, one of the richest people in the world. Owns 10 yachts, literally. Yep, Ajam says, yes, that's her. Underscore says, Michael deserves better than that. Their takes were disappointing. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I think my guess is they're still processing a lot of them and sort of trying to figure out how to pay tribute to somebody that's such a legendary, monumental figure, and just like such a grand figure. It's a hard thing to do. So yeah, that's unfortunate that some of them had some disappointing takes. And I'll definitely be making my rounds, checking them out too. So that'll be interesting. So Ben 2K says, talk about the problems, about solidarity, build networks. That's what I like this stream. That's why I like this stream. Build networks. That's what he would like, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what he was all about, building networks, building solidarity. And so, yes, that's what he was all about. And that's what I want to try to continue and keep on propagating that. So if I can do if I can do any small part in carrying that legacy forward, I will. And it would be an honor to. So anyone that's just showing up, thank you so much for being here. We're over 3 hours on this stream. That's wild. I didn't know how long this was going to go originally. I didn't know if I was going to even do this for an hour. It's been 3, and it's just gone. It just keeps flowing. So it's 5 a.m. where I am, and I'm going strong. This has been a blast to be here talking to y'all. So I'm not going to stop pretty much until I'm like too tired, or this camera's going to die on me again soon. So I need that battery to be charged in there. Yeah.
The battery's full.
Okay. So yeah, it goes from full to just shutting down pretty quickly. It gets weird. It's like full forever, and then it just suddenly and it just cuts down. So apologies. I don't think it will, but yeah. So we're good for now. So let's see some more of the comments. Jam says, did you see the end of today's Majority Report episode where they had to end the show? That was brutal. No, whoa, no, that's Jesus. Yeah, no, I damn, that's rough. Like, I can't even imagine. I got, yeah, I'll have to watch it. That's damn. Yeah, that's rough. That's so bad. Um, yeah, Ben 2K says no, I didn't. I'm not sure I want to see it. I'm gonna cry again. Yeah, same, Ben. I don't think I can do that because that. I mean, just thinking about it is getting my eyes watery right now. Like I can't. They know him personally. To know him personally, I mean, we know him on the political level, and most folks that know Michael Brooks love him, and like you love him, and he's just like a political figure. But like, imagine knowing him not only politically but personally. I mean, my deepest condolences to his family, his friends, those close to him. I think that it's really tough to be in that boat, and so if any of them struggled with finding the right words to say, I think, you know, fairness to them, it's probably just it's such an emotional moment and just so hard to sort of overcome that. So I just condolences to his family and his friends. Yeah, yeah. So damn. Somebody says, okay, so Odd Jam says preach added it on Spotify. Oh, okay, nice. Appreciate. Okay, added on Spotify. Nice. I'm sorry. I'm old. I'm an old guy. Look at me being old. I was like, preach. Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good song. Good stuff. Ben 2K says, "Are you on the West Coast or East Coast?" I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. So, well, just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. So. But I was born and raised in Boston, Mass. So I spent most of my life in and around Boston. But then I finished up high school in Jamaica, Westmoreland, Jamaica, in the country. So I went from the big city of Boston to rural Jamaica. Pretty shocking, pretty big culture shock there. Okay, yeah. So Ben 2K says, might be hard for me to catch your streams for me if you're on the West Coast. Time zones are a bitch. Yeah, no, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Boston. I'm East Coast. So and I'll stream all over the place. I have no proper sleep schedule whatsoever. So I'll be all over the place. So I'll find you wherever you are. But yeah, no. Let me know what times are good times for folks to catch the stream and stuff, and I'll try to aim my stream for the wherever I'll get the most overlap with the most folks that are accessible. But I'll probably just for now be doing them a little bit random until I can get a schedule down. Let me know if there's something that works better for folks, and I'll work with that. Odd Jam says he'd honestly love this shit. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's beautiful. I love y'all are amazing. What y'all trying to make me cry on stream? I see what this is about. Y'all trying to make me cry on stream. Underscore says, I truly think you have the potential to follow in Michael Brooks's footsteps. You have the tools. Do you have the drive? I have the drive. And I don't know if I have the tools. I thank you so much. You say I have the tools. That means so much. And I'm at the beginning of my journey here, and I hope to get better at this and refine the way I'm talking and presenting myself to you, and hopefully I'll become more refined over time. And yeah, I just thank you so much. That's wow. I can't even, I don't even know how to respond to that. That's, I'm not worthy is all I can say. So thank you though. Thank you so much. That means so much. Thank you. Odd Jam says Angie Speaks is fantastic. Agree hard on that. Yes. So yes, Angie Speaks is amazing. Ben 2K says, yeah, give them time. I would have understood if they didn't say anything for a while. It's a hard blow to lefty YouTube. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, this is going to be, I think that a lot of the folks that you're hearing that you might be hearing a bad take from today, it's just processing. If they're closer to him, I can't even imagine it. I mean, it hit me on it was a gut punch. It was on such a personal level. You know, you have these parasocial relationships where you get to know somebody through watching their videos enough. You get to know them and you feel like you know them. I would have, if I saw him on the streets, I'd have been like, Michael, you know, do right wing Mandela for me. You know, like the dude's awesome. Like, all right, so so Kami says, it's hard to think if modern leftists who have had as large a platform and impact. Exactly. It's hard to think of modern leftists who have had as large a platform and an impact as Michael. It'll be hard to make up what we lost with him. Yeah, exactly. Like I can't. He was my. I believe he was my. I'm pretty sure he's my favorite left. You know, like left commentator, favorite YouTuber. Like. He's the one that I watch the most. You know, I think Cornel West is like the greatest living public intellectual. I think I know that Michael Brooks agreed with me on that, but I think that Michael Brooks, for the content that he produced and the media that he was able to, the content that he was able to create, I think that he stands alone. There's no other like him. And so yes, I agree completely. We've almost hit 30 likes, so if anybody else has just shown up, thank you so much for showing up and for joining me here. Really appreciate it. Please do me a favor and hit that like button and like and subscribe below. So just hit that like button and subscribe too. Thank you so much. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm and getting more people to see, hopefully get the stream and grow the channel. So yeah. All right, so let's see. It's Ben2K says, yeah, I'm in Germany. That should tell people a lot. Yeah, exactly. His reach was very far. Yeah, Ben2K, great point. Like, dude, he had reach everywhere. He was an internationalist, so I think that people from all over the world leftists from all over the world respected Michael Brooks, and for good reason. Odd Jam says, since COVID, I go to sleep at 7 a.m. and wake up at 3 p.m. Yeah, dude, right? Like, seriously, man. Like, who has a sleep schedule anymore? Like, what? Like, I don't even know what hours of the day it is usually or what day of the week it is anymore. I've been unemployed for so long, and I've just lost track of, you know, what days are what under this, you know, under these COVID times. So Ben2K says, don't set up your stream times for Western Europe if you want to sleep some days. East Coast is fine, catchable for Europeans as well. Nice, nice. Underscore says, you're doing great. Don't overthink it. This will get easier. Relax. You're doing fantastic. Don't apologize. Just let it flow, bro. Thank you so much. Y'all have been so awesome. And this has been better than I imagined. I could not have imagined. I seriously, let me tell you, I thought that I was going to do this stream to an empty room of people, to literally live streaming to nobody. And I was just planning to just stream it and then use the recorded video as like, here's the video for my channel or whatever. But like, this is more than I could have ever like have imagined or like hoped for. Like, I never thought that we would be, we've had so many people in the chat and just talking about tons of stuff. And early on, we had a bit of some, a little friction going on there with a bit of a, but it was all good though. For the most part, the chat has been awesome and people have just been really engaging. And I really appreciate it because it just feels like this is the best that we could do to sort of, I'm a firm believer in sort of trying not to mourn people's deaths, but rather to celebrate their lives. In Jamaica, our wakes, like when somebody dies, like the wakes are like parties. They're literally like they're like parties with like loud like big like music, and like everybody from the whole community comes out, and like it's just like a party. And so I'm very big on trying to, instead of mourning their death, really celebrate their lives. And for Michael Brooks, I think the best celebration of his life as leftists that we could do is to come together as leftists and hold these spaces and try to propel that, left-wing thinking forward and doing it. Oh, awesome. We just hit 30 likes. Thank you so much to everyone that's liked, subscribed. Thank you so much. It means so much. I really can't emphasize enough. It just means so much. So I really appreciate it. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being here, especially at a crazy time like this. I can't thank you enough for being here and for sharing this moment with me. So yeah. Ben 2K says solidarity was the most important point. Resonated with me a lot. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Solidarity. He emphasized solidarity, and I think it was the sort of cohesive strand throughout all of his I want to say like teachings practically, but his content creation was this common strand and common theme of solidarity that he brought through everything, and he tied that together so well. And so I think that if we're doing that, then we're doing exactly what we should be doing to uphold his legacy and to honor his legacy. So yes, sorry if I mess up your name here. It's Ikhtiar Hossein. So Ikhtiar Hossein says, I will miss Michael. We all should continue his legacy. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to. It's imperative that we do. It's the only way we save this planet from total destruction is if we carry this legacy forward, if we carry the internationalist, solidarity, humanist interpretation of socialist ideology. If we carry that forward, that's the only way. That's the only way forward, really. Underscore says the best way to honor Michael is to be like him. Yes, to keep fighting this good fight and never ever give up. He will always be an inspiration to us. I can't believe he's gone. I am so grateful to him. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just can't believe it, because I wake up every morning and Monday through Friday, he's pretty much the first person that I'm going to look for their take on something. It's like Michael Brooks, like news of the day. What's Michael Brooks' take on this? Before I can fully form my thoughts on a topic, usually I need to have him weigh in. Typically, like I want Michael Brooks to weigh in, because I just know that he helped highlight so many of my blind spots to me, where I had an incomplete worldview, and there were inconsistencies, an inconsistent and incomplete worldview, and he helped to solidify that for me. And so I'm deeply grateful to him and his legacy and what he leaves behind, and just all the work that he did in getting us to this point. And so trying to do what little I can to pay my respects and to try to carry that forward. And we're all doing that. And I think we all are, whether, if you're here just discussing and talking, or, whatever it might be. I think that, people are doing what we can to carry that forward and to continue that. So underscore says aloha from Hawaii. Oh, Hawaii. That's dope. What? I wish I was in Hawaii. Ooh. Adrian Aravalaga says, sending love to you all. We're not alone. Yes, Adrian. Yes, I agree. Sending love right back to you, Adrian. Sending some love right back to you. And we are not alone. And yeah, the left is not some, like, as fringe as what people would like to believe it is. And we are a large and growing community, and we are strong. Definitely, the left is strong. Left is best, right? We should honor Michael, right? Left is best. So that was a saying of his that I will always keep with me. So yes. Ben 2K says, never were, never will be. Hashtag solidarity forever. Yes, Ben. Ikhtiar Hossein says he was someone who genuinely cared about the working class and marginalized groups and wanted a better world for all humans. Yes. Yep. Exactly. He just genuinely cared and woke up every day trying to fight that good fight and dude was busy. Like, he was everywhere. Like, he was doing, you know, Majority Report with Sam Seder. He was doing the Michael Brooks show. He was doing these weekends with Jacobin. He was also forming, Bhaskar Sankara said that him and Bhaskar were in talks about forming like some new like Jacobin like group, like I don't even know what, and they were building another, they were trying to build up another, you know, platform essentially to be another platform for leftists. And so like dude was, he would do like appearances on like I-24 or whatever, like Israeli news, like dude was just, he was everywhere. And so it's gonna be more than one person that has to pick up the baton and has to carry that legacy forward. And so yeah, we all got to do our part to carry that forward. So Ikhtiar Hossein says he was critical on bourgeois politics. Yes. Yes, he was. He was critical of it through and through, and had the ability to identify it wherever, in places where we sometimes miss it. And so just having that type of a critical analysis, I think, is important. It's vital. It's a crucial skill for the left to maintain and to have voices that are continuing to have that internationalist, leftist, socialist ideals, and to carry those ideas forward in whatever way we know best. So I think, so we're getting up to, we're past 3 hours. We're almost at 3.5 hours on this stream. And I think okay, Ben 2K says, yeah, I always like to hear his take as a European lefty. Yeah, yep, always, you know, it was always one of the first places I would look for commentary. So totally understand you there. So this stream's been going for almost 3.5 hours, folks, and thank you so much for everyone that just showed up. If you can, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're over 30 likes now. I really, just awesome. I really appreciate that. So if you haven't already, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and come back and keep these conversations going. Underscore says, yes, left is best, but the true unity is better. Yes, but left is best, but true unity is better. Absolutely. Humanity needs unity. Is it long, impossible road? Yep. But we should aim for that. There will never be peace in this world until we see others as ourselves. Yes. Great points. Underscore. Ben 2K says he was international in his views and the solidarity and always well informed. Yeah, that was it. It was like, dude was so well informed on such a broad range of topics that I'm like, again, there's just no shoes to fill that sort of stuff. You don't get there's not going to be one person that comes in and fills that gap. It's just going to be, it's got to be a whole chorus of us to try to fill it, and not us, but like everyone, you know, just pulling together in order to fill that gap. Because yeah, he was so well informed on such a broad range of topics. It was amazing to see, and really inspirational. Jim says, bruh, you seem like an excellent communicator, and it's quite clear that you're knowledgeable. I'm extremely critical of almost everything, but I think it's appropriate to acknowledge it. Peace, fam. That's awesome. So Ajim says, bruh, you seem like an excellent communicator, and it's quite clear that you're knowledgeable. I'm extremely critical of almost everything, but I think it's appropriate to acknowledge it. Peace, fam. Peace, Ajim. It has been an absolute pleasure having you in the chat and getting to talk with you today. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much for the kind words and for showing up. And please come back again. I'll be doing more of these streams, you know, start moving forward, and also just like creating more content, putting more content out there. So please check back, comment, and keep this conversation going. It's been such an awesome time having you all here. So you know, with that, I'm probably going to start wrapping this stream up. I think it's 5:30 a.m. and so underscore says, it seems crazy to talk about unity right now. We're not that different. They keep us divided for a reason, because we cannot beat them as long as we are. We need to get past this, or we won't make it. Odd Jam says, I'll be back. Nice. Thank you, Odd Jam. I look forward to having you back. I cannot wait to have you back. So, yep. And, you know, enjoy, you know, get some rest or you know, relaxation, whatever you can, and keep processing. And I look forward to chatting with you again in the near future. Ben 2K says so true in response to what Underscore was saying about, you know, it seems crazy to talk about unity right now. We're not that different. They keep us divided for a reason, because we cannot beat them as long as we are. We need to get past this or we won't make it. And I said it twice to echo it, because that's what demagoguery is, right? They divide. It's, you know, something that in reggae they talk about a lot. Another reggae song that I'll mention will be Sizzla has a song, Divide and Rule. I think it's Sizzla. Divide and Rule. Yeah. Where they say to divide and rule is their only plan. And it's like, yeah, that's what they're always trying to do. Divide and rule, divide and conquer. And it's a known strategy. It's an age-old strategy. And so, you know, you divide people up, you weaken them. And so if they divide us up along as many arbitrary lines as possible, this is something that Bernie Sanders talked about. He was doing this like meeting with a bunch of high schoolers like 10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and he was talking to them about this stuff and told them, like, this is what demagoguery is. That's how it works. If you are, you know, these political parties and you want to get your ideas across, but your ideas are terrible things that are going to hurt most people, you can't get those ideas across. You got to divide people up along arbitrary lines, you know, divide up the men and the women, the black versus white, the native versus immigrant, the gay versus straight, the cis versus trans, the Islamic versus Christian versus atheist. You see, you just keep dividing people up on along as many arbitrary lines as possible. And eventually they're so weakened, they're fighting each other from within, and they're so weakened that they can't fight the powers that be that actually affect real change. So, yeah. Jed McDaniel says, this hurts. Yeah, Jed. Yeah, it really does. This is crazy. It's not the kind of news that most people wanted to wake up to. I think a lot of people right now, 5:30 on the East Coast here, I think some people are just waking up to this news right now, and you're right, it's not the kind of news that people want to hear. This is not what we expected. So this is really tough. And I feel you, Jed. This hurts. This really does. It really does hurt, and we have to acknowledge that and just be real about that, and just try to be supportive of each other. And, you know, we are going to have losses like this. We're going to suffer losses like this on the left and just in life in general. And we got to have ways of coping, and then also using it as a catalyst for being better and doing better. And so Odd Jam says, they divide us by our color, they divide us by our tongue, they divide us men and women, they divide us old and young, yep, but they'll tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung. Yeah, whew, yeah. Damn, is that a song? That's beautiful. Is that a poem or a song? That's awesome. They divide us by our color, they divide us by our tongue, they divide us men and women, they divide us old and young, but they'll tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that, Odd Jam. Thank you for sharing that. Ben 2K says, thanks for helping me get my head straight with the stream. You don't have to stream for 6 hours, though. I wouldn't mind. Take a break if you need to. I guess most of us will be back for another stream. All right, awesome. With that, Ben 2K, I think I am going to end this stream. I need to use the bathroom, to be honest. And it's been like 4 hours here. One of the versions of Solidarity Forever. All right, cool, Ajam. I'm going to check that out, Solidarity Forever. Let me just jot that here. All right, cool. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ajam. That was cool. All right, nice. All right, so, well, thank you so much to everyone that showed up for the stream. If you haven't already, yeah, tomorrow's going to be a rough one. Underscore says tomorrow's going to be a rough one. Yeah, damn straight. Yep. underscore says sleep well, thanks. Yeah, same, right back at you. Listen, to everybody that showed up and hung out with me, especially if you hung out for 3 hours, thank you so damn much. A lot of you have really been in this for a long haul, so thank you so much for showing up and for joining me and for helping me make this thing happen. If you're just showing up, and I know we're sort of at the end of the stream here, but you'd like to, you know, check me out, hear more, please do me a favor and hit that like button, like and subscribe. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. I think I am. I think I'm pointing in the right direction. So like and subscribe, and hit that like button, subscribe, and come back for more. Please do me a favor, come back for more. I would love to, you know, do this much more often and full time and make this my life. And so with enough support, I can do that. So yeah, just please come back for more. And I thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for coming out, for discussing these really, you know, interesting topics and difficult topics in the wake of a tragedy on the left here. And I wish it were under different circumstances that we got together, but I am glad that we did get together. And please come back for more. Stay strong, all y'all. Good night, y'all, says Kami. Kami says, good night, y'all. Stay strong. And I second that notion. Good night, everyone. Stay strong. But we will get through this. You know, we will get through this. The left will come out on the other side of this stronger, and we have to, in order to honor, you know, Michael's legacy. So let's do that. Let's do that together. Let's keep building up the left. The left is best. All right. Shout out to Michael Brooks, and R.I.P. brother. We thank you so much for your contribution, and we will not let it go unnoticed or unappreciated. So thank you so much to everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Please like, subscribe, come back for more soon. All right, folks. Peace.